Welcome to Level Sync, a Final Fantasy XI podcast with your hosts, DA Soccer, Caladrius, Lost Time Lord, Ayame Cat, and Quetch.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Level Sync, a Horizon Final Fantasy XI podcast. I'm joined by my other esteemed hosts, DA Soccer.
Hey!
Ayame Cat.
How's it going?
Quetch.
Hey everybody.
And that other guy.
What's up, dicks?
AKA Lost Time Lord.
Cheers.
And we have a pretty fun little episode for you guys. We have a guest today. We'll talk about him later. We gotta do our normal thing, which is what have you guys been up to? I'm gonna go in the same order. DA, what have you been up to?
I'm now 72 Beastmaster, only 3 levels to go. Pushing out. I should be able to finish it this week, and then it's on to wonderful Red Mage and Black Mage. I'm going to be doing both of those.
So you need to take a break from leveling real jobs and level something shitty and then go back to leveling real jobs, or
I just Beast hasn't been as bad as I thought it was going to be. It was better than Sam by far. But Red Mage and Black Mage are next on deck. I did finish Bastock. I saw a shop for 9-1, 9-2, 9-1. Go with the fucking Alliance. That's a pain in the ass. I hated that.
That's a fight with the
slime. Yeah, fuck that, dude. I was down there 4 fucking hours. That pissed me off.
Yeah, you gotta drag them all the way back to like the safe area. Yeah, fuck that fight.
So skeletons everywhere.
And Druin's gonna hate me for this, but during D&D, I've got rank 10 because I finished 9-2 during D&D because I logged in to get ready for Dynamis and somebody shouted for it. So I'm playing D&D and I finished rank 10. So I'm ready to go to Windy. I bought all my stuff. I just have like 2 more things I need to buy, and then with my conquest points, and then I'm on to Windy for my last nation. I am 73 of 90 on all Dynamis gear. That's counting all accessories. I have 12 plus 1s. I'll eventually get all those done as well, just trickling it in. Yeah, just taking my time with it. I don't give a shit. And lastly, I just a small shout out. We were gathering for Dynamis. We had like 22 of us outside of Windy. We're waiting for one more guy to show up. We're making our parties, and we're waiting for the group to come out. The group comes out, and usually you have to wait a couple minutes just to make sure it doesn't like fuck up when you're going in. So we're like, all right, last guy's almost here. Party's made. Why can't I go in? Why can't we trade the glass? Why can't we break the glass? What's going on here?
You got sniped.
We check zone. 3 people in there all of a sudden. Apparently, they one dude invised, or we just had too many people there. Came up, traded the glass, left without us seeing, went around the corner, so we were outside of range, popped all his glasses, passed it out to his crew, and they were coming in without us like knowing. Just fucking shady as shit.
Yeah, I know, right? It really sucks when you have a dynamic schedule. And even though somebody might want to start fucking late, they start so late that the group after them can't go, right, Quetch? That
Something
sucks,
like
doesn't
that.
it?
Yeah, I mean,
it really fucking sucks.
It would really suck if it was like
Ed.
a Dreamland zone or something, right? Yeah.
I know, that would be the worst.
It would really suck if it was like specifically Dynamis Tavnazia.
That would really be the worst.
Something happened with that?
You got messages. I know you got messages.
Yeah, when you stole it from us, yeah.
We hit him up and we're like, dude, what the fuck's wrong with you? Like, one of the dudes went in, like, not even gonna say anything. What the fuck's wrong? And they were like, per Eric, we can do whatever the fuck we want and there is no schedule. And I was like, what a fucking cock. Just because you can be a cunt doesn't mean you should be a cunt. All right? So, Eric, I appreciate you saying schedules don't fucking matter. I mean, fuck you too.
DA.
We're gonna go on a tangent for a second. I understand taking the dynamic zone and counting it as like a mob, right? Like, open zone's an open zone. You can take it. But if you see an entire group of motherfuckers standing there waiting to go into said zone and you just walk up and be a dick about it, you're just a douche, is what you are.
It's absolutely true. So now
Eric,
we've had so now we've had to buy, we have 5 glasses on hand.
Right.
And we fucking spam the zone to get in. Because it's happened to us almost every time we run Dynamics.
The last 6 Dynamics.
In a row, yeah.
So, DA, if you haven't been told, the strategy is to be trading your glass the moment humanly possible, and preferably have more than one. Like, it happened to you guys.
It's the Wild West.
Yes.
Nobody cares. There's a schedule. We try to make it organized, but fuck the people.
Yep.
I mean, it's...
Per Eric.
At least when Demo did it, I forgot the dude's name that was leading that one, but he was like, "Hey, they saw you gathering. They thought you were gonna snipe." And my response was, "You're an hour and 45 minutes late to enter. It's kind of hard to snipe a zone you were supposed to be out of 15 minutes from now."
That's all I got. That's all I got. I wanted to vent.
No, I'm glad you did. It was a good segue. Give Quetch shit.
Oh, we literally said we're both gonna talk shit to Quetch, even though Quetch was not involved in the group that went into the Dyna at all.
He was in there. Oh, he was in there.
Were you in there?
I went in with him, yeah.
Yeah, he was
You
fucking
piece
in
of
there.
shit.
Yeah, that's why I
am a
called
piece
him
of shit.
You guys prepped to attack Quetch?
Oh, yeah.
Get him. I'm done.
You know,
yeah.
Get him. Let me close my notes.
Oh, no, we got him.
It's funny. We were in Dyna, and one of the leaders was like, "So, Quetch, is going to be something that's going to be talked about in the podcast this next week?" And it clicked for me. I'm like, "Oh, holy crap, it is."
Yep.
Fucking assholes.
I felt bad
Try
because
to
there was
use
only
that calendar.
one of your guys was like sitting outside, and I forgot his fucking name. He's a little Taru. And he was the only one still
Dave?
outside, so he...
Pooba?
Yeah.
Was it
Dave.
GM Dave? Yeah.
GM Dave was the only one standing outside, I think. And I sent him a message. I'm like, really? You see a whole group standing here? You guys are 4 hour and 45 minutes late, and your thought is, oh, fuck it, I'll enter anyway. And he's like, I just work here, man. And I'm like, all right, so who's in charge of your Dyna run? He gave me the guy's name. And the dude's like, oh, they just broke it because they were freaking out and da-da-da. And I'm like, all right, fuck you too. We ended up doing, what, abuse?
Osadine. We actually got
Yeah.
some black mages and some summoners the gear that they needed, so it worked out.
Glad to hear it worked out.
I got
Yeah, we
something.
went and looked at the
I'll be
calendar,
honest with
and
you,
I felt like
we
a
made
double
more
douche.
money. We made more
Well-
money on currency than we would have in fucking Tavernazia,
Oh, dude,
that's for
so-
sure.
Tavernazia
Just because
is
it worked
so
out
bad.
doesn't mean you're off the hook. Get him, guys. Get him.
Well, no, so the fucked up thing is we went and looked at the calendar. There's a group in abuse, right? And so I know the people, so I messaged one of them. He's like, we got 10 minutes left, and then we're leaving. So we all haul ass to abuse, right? And we get there, and there is a member of another Link show who likes to snipe Dyna zones, standing there already trying to trade his glass to it. Over and over and over again.
The one that I mentioned previously. That
Yeah,
Link
the
show.
previously mentioned Link
Hmm.
show. And he's sitting there trying to trade. Well, it's one dude versus like 6 of us with glasses. So we're like, okay, well, if we know they're coming out in 10 minutes, and start spamming.
Right.
So would you say that it took that guy trading the glass more than one attempt to get in?
Yeah, it was his second attempt.
Okay, all right. Just want to
Yeah.
put that out there.
You got anything else, DA? We're done with the Dyna spiel.
No, I closed my notes. That's all I got. I'm glad I brought that up because that really pissed us all off. You literally see all of us waiting there, and it's either there's too many people to load your face and you run through everyone to
Yeah.
trade it, or you invised up just to drop it and trade it right as we're getting ready to go in. Get fucking bent. For Eric.
That
So
has
I
been
am.
an issue lately, is just like all of the fucking characters not being able to render in.
Well, yeah, if you think about it, like the limited amount of people that render, right? And then let's say you have 2 full alliances. It's going to load your alliance, and it's going to maybe load one of them if you're lucky. If not,
Right.
none of them.
This has been
The
a
only
topic.
reason we knew that other Link show was there is because they were talking shit while they were waiting to try and snipe the zone.
The amount of entities loading has been a topic of conversation a lot in our shell because of H&M camps and the amount of carbuncles that are out. And I'm pretty sure that carbuncle has a higher, or maybe it's just summons in general, have a higher render priority. It seems to go like, because how many carbies do you
player?
see when you're out at camp?
You see like 40 of the little fuckers.
Too
running
many.
around,
Yeah. So it seems to
Yeah,
go
too
like
many.
summons, possibly pets in general, then like your alliance, and then like whatever's left over, you get handed a couple of like other Link Shell members, but mainly like other people from just other people. And yeah, I don't know. It's just been a thing where like it's just hard to see like H&M's load and whatnot because there's so many people at them and so many
Summons are more
summons in
important than
particular.
They need to fix the priorities for what renders, or they should do something similar to retail. You know how you could do like hide trust for like everyone else in retail so you never
Yeah.
have to see anybody's trust? Can we do that for like summons so we don't have to see everybody's fucking carbuncle or whatever? Like, I don't need to see a million carbuncles.
All the sheep.
I really don't.
I mean, didn't
I don't
somebody
need to
at
see
one
any
point
sheep.
make an add-on that made all of RFK go away?
Yes, it was called RFKOA.
Yeah, so
then
just
they
make that
outlawed
for
it.
everyone else.
And they outlawed it. But yeah, it was definitely an add-on.
It's going to be a long list of people.
So, Ayame, what have you been up to?
I have been not playing as much Horizon because I feel like there's not a lot of stuff to do. I did do Dynamis. I did get finally 6 out of 6 for my top because we went to Bosadine for my White Mage. So my little baby White Mage has that.
Refresh.
And did I say that I got Protectra 5 before or no? I got that too. And thank you for the top, Federante. He didn't freaking lot against me. He could have lotted against me, but thank you. Thank you, Fed. Appreciate you. But other than that, like just Limbus. I'm collecting APCs because I'm trying to get my stealth earring or whatever. So
the dual wield one.
Finally got Sith. yeah, finally got Sith his loquacious one like last week, I want to say. So happy about that. Working on all of that still. But other than Horizon, I've been playing some retail and Helldivers too.
What have you been doing?
Still recovering from my everything, all the stuff, hanging out. Just we did some Omen today. I don't know if we want to try like Dynamis. We've been trying to do Odyssey. We've gone through Shoal A and B. Need to do C, and then.
Yeah, we need to wrap this shit up so we can get into C tonight.
That's about it. I keep getting tells from Kuro Tenshi about how he still does not have his O club or K club. So good luck to him.
He's heading towards attempt 200.
I feel bad for him. He updates me once in a while. I'm like, that is rough. That is awful. Good luck to him though. Good luck. Sounds horrible. But yeah. That's all I've been up to.
All right. So Quetch, other than, stealing Dynazones, what are you guys been up to?
Well, I got in that Dynatav run. We did a farming run. We weren't intending on fighting Diablos. It was just simply to like farm as much like -1. We were looking for the -1 legs in particular and farming a bunch of Hydra gear. I ended up getting 2 Hydra pieces. One was the Enmity headpiece I got for some of the warrior stuff I've been experimenting with, and I've been leveling Paladin as well. But I also got the tiara for the melee set. It's one of the ones. So the enchantments in the Tav gear, some of it is like 20 charges and then it's dead, but some of it is that like daily charge, like 20 hours, and then you get a fresh one.
Pants.
Yeah. And okay, so the haste pants are like that. So the head has an enchantment called Potency, and I looked it up, and it's actually plus 10% crit rate. But you obviously have to keep the gear equipped like any of those enchantment style items. But interestingly, it's like a 3-minute duration. So I think actually on Thief, I might find some use for that, especially once that ring comes out the Thief ring from H&M that I got on my stream and had to drop live on stream. Which is like whenever you crit, you like lower your sneak attack recast. So it might actually be some good application for that item. So it's kind of cool that I got that. Yeah, that run we just did a bunch of Hydra. We got crap for drops on the -1 pants that we were looking for, and we didn't get any hundreds, so everybody walked away with like 7 currency or something like that.
It sounds like Tav.
Yeah, good.
Good.
We had another thing happen in Dynamis, and actually, Dia, you mentioned like not going in too soon because it might butt up against like. We actually had a little overlap that happened. We went into Dynamis Bastok this week, and the question mark for the boss kill was still up. So
that's what happened to us in Juno.
Yeah, okay. So
that happened in early days of Dynamis too.
Well, we had it happen since we did Genesis. We ran that Bastok, and remember we came around the corner of the auction house, and the question mark was just sitting there.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And we had to call, I think Oppuck came and fixed it.
Did you guys have to have a GM spawn your wave too?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happened to me. I have not heard of this, so it was the first time it's ever happened to us, but we cleared wave 1 and there was no boss pop, so we had to have someone come in and do that for us.
Was that Bastok for you too, DA?
Juno.
Happened?
Juno for me.
So yeah, I mentioned I've been working on Paladin a little bit, just basically EXP scrolls. As we're going to talk about with the guest of this episode, I have been spending a lot of my free time working on this D&D video set in Vana'diel. It's really Pathfinder, but it's just easy to say D&D. I actually exported. You'll hear where I was at because we're recording this at a different time, but I I actually exported the video today, so it's almost ready to be uploaded to YouTube, and I'll finally get some free time back to be doing more in Horizon. DA's face.
Links?
We'll see.
Fuck you.
Or
Eric.
But so that's why I haven't been able to like sit down and do an EXP party with my paladin. But I accidentally put my freaking I meant to put my Eco Warrior EXP into it last night, man, and I was still on my thief, and I got 8k buffer on my thief now, 8k extra buffer.
Okay. That's not bad. You'll use that.
Could be worse, but
you'll die a lot. It's fine.
And well, yeah,
actually, thieves sack pool all the time.
Yeah.
You're good job planning ahead.
The one last thing I do want to talk about is I finally went and de-leveled my alchemy. I don't know if you guys are aware of this or know why. I don't know if we ever talked about why I was going to do that.
No.
So basically, you need to do the tier 3 of one of the ninja tools that you can do as like a print synth. You need 62 cooking and 80 something alchemy, right? So what I did was I was 100 alchemy, and I didn't feel like getting synth support every time I wanted to do this synth because I'd be at like a behemoth camp or whatever. Is I de-leveled my alchemy to 98. The last 2 levels of alchemy aren't that important for like HQ tiers and stuff like that, so I'm just like, screw it, I brought my alchemy down to 98. And I've been saving guild points to get 100k guild points, so I could then level my cooking to 68 and buy the apron, because you can't buy it until you're 68 and you rank up, which de-leveled my alchemy down to 92. Then I de-leveled my cooking back down to 61 with an apron now, and I re-leveled my alchemy back up to 98.
It sounds
you wish you'd done the cooking beforehand?
I mean, yeah, I mean, that's super hindsight though, right? I was like 100 alchemy, like 4th month of the server or something like that.
Yeah. When I started leveling alchemy, because mine's like 40, I think, is where I got bored and stopped. I was reading a guide somebody wrote, and they're like, make sure that if you want to do this, level cooking to this level first, and then finish leveling alchemy.
Yeah.
It's a lot of steps to print.
It is. And like, I don't mind because I wasn't looking at guild points for anything else anyway, so it was fine for me to just be doing it daily on cooking. But yeah, it was really, watching it go down to 92 was like gut wrenching. But like, I had a plan to get back up to 98 that was gonna like make me some gil in the process. So everything's good. It just was like a whole thing. I did a whole stream about it.
I was given the same advice about the cooking and the alchemy. I was like, I remember somebody saying this to me. I screenshotted. Waffle House gave me that exact advice because I was asking him about prints, and he was like, oh, no. If you're going to do alchemy, you need to do this first. I'm like, he's so smart.
Yeah, it's actually why I got burnt out on crafting, because I was already like 44 or something alchemy. And I was reading ahead on like the guide, and it said to do that. So I started leveling cooking, and it got to like 22, and I'm like, "Fuck this!" and everything stopped.
Nothing's wrong with cooking.
No, I just don't like crafting. It's boring.
Too many ingredients in cooking.
So many. Cooking. And especially the guild points, you're like, I need 8 ingredients to make a freaking green bean casserole.
Yeah.
Like,
exactly. Yeah, I have 95 cooking on retail. I remember getting that leveled up before like they had the cooking sets or whatever. And like I've got the sushi making and all that shit. And it's just like I think back to that, I'm like, what the fuck was I thinking? So the amount of ingredients required for cooking is stupid.
That's why the food stays at a decent price too, is because a lot of those foods that people use, like soul sushi and stuff, take quite a few ingredients just to make.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else, Quitch?
The only last thing I wanted to say, I want to give an update on Mandao. I'm about to cross the 10,000 currency mark of total currencies. I'm like 17 from my stage that I'm currently on, and then I need like another 30 something for the final stage. But yeah, it's coming close. My goal was by like June, because that'll be 1 year that I've been working on it. I'm still on track for that, and hopefully sooner.
Nice.
Damn.
You have to do a stream when you go to get it.
Oh, heck yeah.
I watched Sly's stream when he got his gun gear. That was pretty cool. Anything for you, LTL? What have you been up to?
So currently I'm working on my Dardabla. I have to go to Abyssia, Uleg Urand, and kill a Patamak a whole bunch. I've got 19 of 75 horns, and I'm also working on my Karnwin hand. I only need like 12,200 more Alexandrite to get through that. Also working on Odyssey, trying to get my Nyame gear nice and augmented. Oh, you mean Horizon? So today, which is Saturday, I mean, I don't care. People don't care if they know. We don't care if people know what day we're recording this. So Saturday, the 23rd. Today I logged in and I stopped leveling my woodworking, not because I didn't want to level it, but because like I feel like maybe I'm crazy here, but I feel like I'm at like 71 or something. But I feel like in that 70s range, um, the guild point items are really fairly well balanced. Like there's nothing that's like too high and crazy that I have to make, and more often than not, like the things that it wants me to make are like way lower than my skill level. So it's really easy to like make those things, and the things that I can't make because I don't have like smithing or alchemy or whatever leveled are fairly cheap to buy. So I've stopped leveling my woodworking so that I can get my guild points up. And today I turned in 3 water barrels, which I had to buy 17K a piece. I turned in 3 water barrels, and so as you guys know, well, I know Quetch knows, and Ayame probably knows this, but your apron is 100,000 guild points.
Yep.
So today I turned in the 6,000 guild points for the 3 water barrels, and at the end of turning in my 3 water barrels, I have 99,716 fucking guild points, and I can't get my motherfucking apron. And I
So
just want the
sweet.
fucking apron, so I have to wait till tomorrow to actually get the fucking thing. And then I gotta get
you-
70K more for my gloves, and then 50K more for the fucking furnishing. So I'm gonna be stuck in the 70s for a while.
You
but
think about every day that you didn't do your points because you
Yep.
didn't feel like it, you didn't log in, or whatever reason, man. You just
Well,
think
there
about
was
those days.
it was either yesterday or the day before. I didn't turn any in because it was like I had to turn in like 40 of them at like 200 points a piece, whatever the fuck it was. I was like, I ain't doing that shit. And then I log in today and I get like, less than 300 away from my goal. And I'm like, figures, fucking figures. Like, that's just way she fucking goes, bud. But yeah, that's what I've been working on mostly when it comes to Horizon. But the other stuff is like way more exciting. My Blue Mage is back, baby. He's wrecking dicks and fucking chicks, like getting it all done.
What server are you guys on?
Odin.
Okay.
I was on Asura, but Ayami and Seth were like, "Capture Odin." And I was like,
We're in Odin.
"Yeah, Odin."
Come here.
And
Come
the cool
join
thing
us.
about changing servers on retail is that you only have to pay for like the one account. Every sub account that you have, like I have 3 alts, all of those came over for free with the main account. So I have all of my shit over there on Odin, which is cool. It's fun, having a good time, remembering a lot because there's a fucking lot to remember. It's funny, today we were hanging out, and Ayame, for the first time in a long time, not for the first time ever, I reminded them about Amon Trove, and Ayame was like, fuck yeah. She goes to fucking Grayson. She's got fucking 40 silver fucking vouchers saved up. And she's like, yeah, I'll use a few. And I'm like, shit, yeah. So she goes in there with the Mars Orb, like, fucks up the first try. But the second try, she goes all the way through to the fucking rainbow chest. Didn't you do it like 2 more times? No, the third time.
This-
The third time you
this-
got the loud thud and stopped.
Yeah, but it was a Mars Orb, and I was like, oh,
Right.
it's a loud thud. Isn't it the loud thud? And then you just GTFO?
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm just going to
Yeah.
do that and it's safe. It's fine.
And then
I
you
did
did the
that.
Venus Orb and went all the way through and didn't really get great stuff, but made it through a fucking Venus Orb, which was awesome.
With a rainbow. Mhm.
Rainbow. Pretty.
Rainbow.
Yeah, so having some fun on retail while keeping it real in Horizon. It's just, I think that the biggest issue is, and everybody's feeling this right now that plays on Horizon that, is at the end is like, there's just no content. It's a content drought. I'm sure that the team is working, diligently and hard, but like, we've gotten no updates. We've gotten no word from the team, just silence on the front. don't have any sort of like, like little like whispers.
Reassurances?
Well, I mean, not even reassurances because they don't owe us anything, but like no like little teasers, no like, oh hey, it's gonna be coming out now. I mean,
Yeah.
I know that they're working on it, but it feels like, when the server first came out, there was so much hype and like the whole team was into it and Eric was into it and like, Frank was like there making comments and stuff. We haven't heard shit from either of those people in months. And it just
123
feels
days, roughly, since patch 1.2 part 1 came out.
it almost feels like they've given up a little bit or like just maybe don't care.
You
I don't
get it when you
know
get it.
which it is. I mean, I don't know which it is, but like, I had a thought the other day thinking about like, if it's gonna be this way and like it's, Eric's way or the highway, like maybe he should like, give the server to somebody else that actually cares about the people who play. That would actually, run it in a good way. I don't know. Like that's my thought. Like it's so frustrating. Like with such a strong player base, like Horizon on a daily basis has more players playing on it than both Asura and Odin combined. I mean, and it's great for that early game content, but it's just like it just seems like, and even if there were technical limitations or issues happening, I feel like, tell us that. Tell us what's going
Communicate.
on. Give us a fucking update.
I wouldn't use all the same words you did, LTL. I
course
will
you
say
wouldn't.
I agree with you that we could use some sort of communication about something like whether it's like, hey, we're working on the second part of H&M's, even just that would be nice. Hey, we're still a couple weeks out, we're still a month out. There's definitely a feeling of like there's like definitely a nebulous feeling right now amongst the player base of like
Mhm.
we know you're doing work. We don't have any communication on that front at all. To say like Eric doesn't care, I would disagree with that. I think he's often in the Discord like commenting on people's stuff, memeing around like, and Kipling's been back and really really involved with the community again. But that's not the community, like that's not the community communication portion, which I do feel is lacking. I think they care.
You
like-
don't have to set a date or anything like that. Just some form of, hey, we're still
Yeah.
working on this, guys.
I like
this
how-
is still happening.
Horizon and the Level Sync podcast both took a break for the holidays. The only difference is we came back.
We came back.
Yeah. One thing I am aware that they're working on is a code rebase, and I'm not sure how much stress that's causing.
How do you know that? Has it
and
been
that's-
publicly
no,
announced?
it
Enough
hasn't
communication to the community
It's-
about it, or is it word of mouth?
It's about reading tidbits in different discords.
That's what I'm saying. That's
Yeah,
I think
no,
what
I know.
LTL's saying too. Talk to us.
I agree.
You have
Little
to be an
transparency.
investigator to fucking
Yeah.
find out what's happening.
A little transparency would go a long way and like help to smooth over a lot of the like ill negative feelings that people are having. I mean, I'm gonna keep playing. Like I enjoy the people that I hang out
Yeah.
with. I'm not enjoying the like, the same old shit week after week. Like, but I am enjoying the people that I play with. So of course I'll keep coming back. But like, if I was paying for this, I wouldn't be anymore.
So that's all for LTL, right?
I'd say I'm good. Thank you.
You
Let
good?
me get that
You
off my
good?
shoulders. I'm good.
I guess it just leaves me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What have you been up to, Cal?
Summoner 71. I'm 3 of 6 for Summoner Relic now. I've got the hands, the body, and the back.
He didn't even know he got the body. He fucking.
I
goes
knew I was AFK.
We all passed for him, and it
We
dropped
all
into his
passed.
fucking inventory. He doesn't even know he had it. He only knew he had it because Ayame told him.
Ayame sends me a tell. Congratulations on your Summoner piece. I'm like, what? Because I just got back. I'm like, what? And then Cloud sends me a tell like 3 seconds later, congrats. And I'm like, on what? What the fuck are you guys talking about? And then I looked and yeah, they'd all passed while I was AFK because I think 4 of them dropped that day.
Wow.
3 or 4. It was 3 or 4.
I would have loved if they didn't say shit and you try to lot one even though you had it and you start freaking out that you can't lot it and you put in like a GM ticket and shit about it. That would have been great.
No, he's so meticulous about his fucking inventory space. He would have noticed it the second we left Dynamis.
Everybody
Why
was
is-
like, I'm
why is it a
always full.
54?
No,
I'm
it
always
was
full.
more
No,
like
it-
24.
Yeah. My inventory sits at like 16.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Any more than that, and I'll notice. I'm super obsessed with it, man. Like my Mog wardrobe's all nice and neat, and if I don't need it anymore, it's not in there anymore. Yeah, I don't hoard things.
I
But yeah,
hoard.
Summoner's 71. I got to do my first Uligran range party as a summoner. Basically just a buff whore.
You're not doing any
Uh,
skill chaining or anything?
No. I'm literally just casting Earth and Ward, Spring Water, and Dream from Diablos.
Yeah, those Yuli parties with summoners don't do anything other than just buff. They're buff bitches.
Okay.
And
Occasionally
also,
heal people.
well, not only that, but also occasionally do a BP when the black mages don't kill it in their first volley. Like if you hit it with like
Yeah.
whatever you
It was
have
an
on.
X-Light party, so most of the time it just died. But yeah, did that. The Relic. I haven't been to the last two Limbuses. I've been out of town like the whole last week. Dog sitting for my parents, Tucson. And then somebody talked me into playing retail. So I've been playing retail. I don't know who that would be. Wouldn't be LTL.
I'm not a very
I have
persuasive person.
not touched retail since Seekers released.
Can confirm. We're getting him through all the storylines that he never completed.
Like I have not touched that game. They took me into what was that fucking
Odyssey?
Ambuscade.
Oh, Ambu. Yeah.
And I'm like, cool, this is interesting. Miss. I'm on Paladin, like Voking and flashing and everything. Can't take hate off any of them. I'm like, this is cool. Then we did enough Ambuscade for me to get 119 gear and then +1
Oh,
and
yeah.
everything else. So
Really close to his nagling, too.
yeah, almost got Nagling. But yeah, other than that, that's about it. I've just been doing my summoner thing and our normal weekly events.
And stealing money from GT because he's a fool.
Oh yeah.
Gambling
So
addiction.
Yeah,
GT's gambling addiction pays for my Limbus each week.
nice. I got him for 69,420 the other day.
Nice.
I total
Nice.
I have won 1.4 million off of GT.
Oh, he had 2K left, and somebody bet him 2K to 10K, and he lost that too. He had literally 0 gil when he walked
no,
in his lockhouse, and I started laughing my ass off.
He owes Sly 296k
Oh,
because
no.
Sly gave him 200k to keep betting with because he had lost all his gil. And
He hit me.
he rolled as soon as Sly hands him 250k, right? And then he goes, "Okay, Ben, let's roll again for 250k," and Ben beat him and took the 250.
He
And
hit
then
me up.
Ben,
That's so toxic.
Ben rolled Sly for 5 mil, and Sly won. So Ben had to pay Sly 5 mil. This is what happens when your
There's
in-game
no context.
players don't have anything else to do, alright? You get all these rich fuckers sitting around with like 40 mil going, 5 mil roll?
With GT's addiction like that, he hit me up and he's like, "Hey, I'd like to learn about some option trading on some stocks." I don't think I'm going to help him now. I don't think I'm going to. We're not going to do that.
But yeah, I think who cleared him out yesterday? It was Lily Starchan. Lily. She came up to me at 50k yet left, and he's like, "Roll me for 50k." And she rolled him, and she was like an 8, 50, 40, rolled like a 29. But yeah, that's it for me. Just gambling, debauchery, a little bit of retail. But I don't have anything else to do, so might as well. But yeah, if that's everybody's what you've been up to, I guess we can finally get into our interview.
I hear it's
I
going to
hope
be
it-
a great one.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
Should be great. I mean,
Oh Lord.
the best thing that I can say is, guys, make sure you stay awake and alert because this is going to be a fantastic interview. I hope you guys are ready for it. Stay up late, and keep your eyes open because this is a good one.
Falcons.
Gawkas. Alright, everybody, we're gonna get into it. I hope you enjoy. Alright, everybody, it's time. We're gonna get to the meat and potatoes of this episode. I'd like to welcome our guest, Druin. How are you?
Hey, how's it going? Glad to be here.
It's going good. Today's episode is going to be a lore episode. So he is our resident lore master. The rest of us, I skipped through cutscenes, so I don't know what's going on. I'll be
Same.
honest. I'm
Sometimes.
not even fancy enough to get like eternity or whatever that like makes the fucking. I just sit there and rapidly hit enter to make the
When you lock
cutscene
up,
go by faster.
You hit print screen to unlock it.
But yeah, So, Druin, I have a question for you. What is
Fire
your
away.
experience with 11?
So, I mean, if you want the full experience, like I started 11 back in NA launch. God, I don't even know what year that was.
PC
And I
or
played
PS2?
PC. Yeah, my brother, who's older than me, kind of got interested in it. Final Fantasy X was my favorite game at the time. I mean, I was young, um, and he kind of got our parents to buy a computer to be able to play it. We shared an account. That was horrible. I could only play every so often until he eventually got his own computer, and then we were playing together. But yeah, I know I started NA launch. I played for a while until I got to 75. PC launch came with Rise of the Zlart, so I did a little bit of endgame content there. But then I took a break until COP came out, and I kind of played COP all the way through toward the end of Wings of the Goddess before I kind of hopped off, went on to different MMOs, and I came back to retail a couple years ago. Played a little bit of that. That was super fun. But I've always really liked the original sort of experience with all of its ups and downs. And yeah, I don't know. I've sunk many, many, many years into this game, and if it makes you feel any better, Cal, I slammed my way through the story uh, up until even just a couple months ago. So yeah.
So you do play on Horizon, correct?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. So I started Horizon launch day. I didn't do anything pre that. I think I found it because of Quetch's video and somebody else's video. I found Horizon and managed to hop onto that. And I'm around. Like Quetch has mentioned, we do stuff pretty consistently together. And yeah, on Horizon, same name and everything.
Your nation. What's your home nation and main job?
Bassac.
Ooh,
So
don't hit the
That's
rest.
the way it should
no,
be.
Bassac. So
Yeah.
Bassac Home Nation will forever be that way. And my main job is Red Mage for now. Much like everybody else, I am in the Treasures waiting room. As Corsair is my class. It is probably the main reason I have any desire to play Final Fantasy 11 is playing the job Corsair. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm ranked 10 in all the nations. I've done all that stuff.
Yeah, this
I
dude's
got
very
my
much a
Dublin done.
completionist.
Yep.
How many 75s are you at now, Druin?
I am at 875s. My ninth just got 57. I'm currently leveling Warrior. And I have given up on doing XP parties on Thief, and that'll get to 75. It is 66, coming up through Eco Warrior and the like. So, yeah.
Yeah, he's got a face.
It's really tough to level it up if you don't have like friends to carry you.
She got straight carried for her.
Yeah, I've heard people that have been trying to level their thieves and like, this is ass, this is horrible, nobody will invite me. It's really bad. I'm like, I'm sorry.
100%.
Feel bad for you.
And I'm geared for it. Like I bought all of the gear to level in Sky. I just I don't know. I don't want to seek for that long. If I'm gonna like try to get all these jobs at 75, I'm gonna try to optimize it a little bit. Funny enough, I tried for a little while to do Summoner Burn on Thief/Summoner in King Rampart's Tomb, because you can Burning Strike doesn't miss, and you close fusion with Burning Strike. That didn't pan out as much as I was trying to make it work. But some people do it, so I don't know. More power to them.
Yeah, no, Thief is horrible. She got carried because I was leveling Bard, so she didn't even have to pull. She
That's
just
the
sat
dream.
there.
Can confirm. Yeah, as a thief, like when somebody else is pulling, I'm like, you mean I get to poke the mob? Like, what?
It's so rare for a thief to even be in a bard party to begin with. So like you've already struck gold and then you have to do less work. It's phenomenal.
And you're buffed. It's like, it's just magic.
She was
Wasn't even
very
doing
happy.
most of the damage. It was like Sith
Yeah.
is on Dark Knight. He's doing all the fucking damage, and I'm just there poking it.
OTL's over there dying on Ranger because
He's-
when he
he's
does actually
only-
hit Sidewinder,
He only died a handful of times.
he got
I mean-
uppercut into space.
I did.
At least
Well,
now you
that's-
can steal aggro. I mean, something.
Yeah, that was added after I hit 75 though, so it was like that would have been helpful back a
Mhm.
while ago.
Yeah.
At least you have utility though while you're leveling, right?
Yeah. The
If
one party
somebody
I've
will
done on
please
Thief,
invite.
I really enjoyed it.
The one party.
The one party, the exactly one party. Exactly 6,000 XP worth of a party. I had a great time.
Ape is 49, and I 100% have been leveling it with Eco Warrior and plan to all the way up to 75. I feel you. I've heard the
But-
horror stories.
Since I'm the host, I get to pick which nation we talk about first. And of
Fire away.
course, it's Sandioria.
Sandori is first on my list, so this works out great.
It's the best, obviously.
At least he has good taste. He put it at the top.
Yeah, that's right. That's where it should be.
Sandori is at the top for a few reasons for me. One, it has the most implications with the broader 11 narrative, which I think is really cool. But yeah, I mean, I can jump into it. We just
Yeah.
So-
so you've prepared basically some background lore to the nations, right? That's my understanding.
yeah. So 11's lore is what I like to call fragmented. It's so to start off with, what I'll say is a lot of the lore that I have, a lot of the lore that I've dug into, is stuff that has been sort of compiled over time. There's some really wonderful websites, Reddit posts, old forum posts that all go through a lot of the lore that this game has because it's really hard to find. It's sort of all over the place. And a lot of what I pull from also doesn't include some of the newer stuff. Like in retail, you have TVR and anything like that. And most of it is really coming from, the era that we're playing in on Horizon, things of that nature. So the reason I preface with that is what I have here, as well as being like some of how the nations work and stuff like that, is also how they were founded, which isn't information that you get in like the traditional storylines. Square Enix actually did some posts way back when. It's stuff that comes out of the Brady Guide, sort of all over the place. For Sandoria, so the Elvan, before even coming to the Middlelands, which is where our game takes place, the Sandoria is located on the continent of Kuan. The Elven actually began as tribes that came from the north continent of Rizoa. They effectively came to Kuan for reasons unknown and began settling as I think it's between 4 and 6 different tribes. Before they were actively attacked and subjugated by Tarutaru, Windurst back in the ages of settling time period were warmongers, and they actually took over all of both continents of the Middlelands, including Kuan. Sandoria, before it even existed, the elves, the Elvan, effectively banded together with the Quadav. They made a deal. They said, "Hey, get these little guys out of here. Their magic is destroying us. We don't have access to it." And they ambushed them in Pashao marshlands. Made a deal with the Quadav leader at the time, King. What is his name? Du Daha, who was actually known as being a very reasonable guy, a reasonable turtle, and forced him out of there. And in the aftermath, a kingdom was established, the kingdom of Sandoria, with the first king being Lanfor D. I'm gonna butcher these names. Not as bad
Welcome.
as DA will,
Yeah,
There,
but
yeah, there we go. There we go.
yeah.
On top of it.
Land for Diorgil. So, which is the chateau, right? Chateau Diorgil.
Can we talk about the Taru thing? I feel like we
Please, please, stop me at any
One
point.
100% checks out to me. I don't know why you guys want to talk about it. They're
We
evil
make-
little bastards.
We make jokes about them being little fucking ankle biters all the time, and they've been just ankle biters for their entire history that I'm hearing right here. They just started shit with the Elven, and they had to team up with the Ninja Turtles to be able to kick their ass out.
Not just the Elven. They subjugated the Hume tribes that were present in Dangrif Wadi at the time. They subjugated Galkin, who had just lost their homeland and came to Gustaberg.
They're used to that.
They had already won 2 wars against the Yagudo, and not just like one, but like smacked them down. Yeah. So their title, the conquest aspect of Taru's, their title were the War Warlocks. With Luongo Nuongo, the Jade Shell from Dynamis. He was the warlock warlord. He was a mage beastmaster who effectively came into all of these places. I know we're more talking about Winders right now, but who basically came into all these places, literally just wanted to fight. If you've ever seen an anime with that one dude who just wants to go into battle with the strongest people, that was this dude.
It was about just getting the lands. It wasn't any resources or anything like that. It's like, this is all ours now. I can't see over a fucking anthill, but this is all ours.
He basically, at the time, he almost like talked to the Star Sibyl. The Star Sibyl was kind of all for it, but talked her into just, hey, let's go out and just take everything because we can. And it effectively just took over the whole place and had to get pushed back. 11's history up until the Age of Adventuring, which is what we're in, like what we play in, is all just war. It's constant war. It's constant battles. And I mean, Sandoria goes from fighting Winterstoff and winning, establishing their kingdom, going and subjugating the Humes and the Galka and fighting them off, to then going into a civil war, which King Rampare, so King Rampare's tomb, he overthrew the king at the time, became the new king, using his sword, the Lightbringer, which is very important to the Sandorian storyline, and basically quashed it, and then went into like, hey, maybe we should stop fighting because like all of our forces are gone. Sandoria was left in crumbles, especially then going right into the Crystal War, like sort of right after that. So yeah, I mean, Sandoria had a rough go of it on some degree. But the Lightbringer is something that I really want to talk about. Has anybody paid attention to the Sandorian storyline?
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah, what do you mean, unfortunately? It's one of the better ones.
It has cutscenes that it doesn't let you skip, alright?
That is true. that is very accurate. So, coming off hot on the Civil War thing, right? I'll get back into their sort of fighting of Bastok when we talk about Bastok, but going into King Rampare sort of quashing the Civil War with his sword, the Lightbringer, which he never had to unsheath. It is, if you've ever done the Sandorian storyline, it's this gold sword. It's like a knight sword, and he supposedly got it in Devoy. I think it's Devoy.
I call it the boy.
Yeah. He supposedly had gotten it in Devoy. Now, why it was there, I have no idea. This is what I mean when I say that 11's lore is very fragmented, because there's a lot of stuff that's just never really explained. But he gets this sword, the Lightbringer. It instills fear in the other side of the Civil War. He quashes it. He uses it to conquer dragons at the time. That's where Dragoons come from, effectively. is King Ramper's like will to be, let's go take over dragons, effectively fight with them. That is part of his thing. You know, he has a whole Dragon Knight order that like fights with him, eventually dies off because Ramper was the only one who could really keep that instilled once he passes on. But one of the coolest feats that Ramper ever does is the Black Dragon Vritra, right? We all know it. We all hate it. Or love it, I guess, if you really like fighting Grand Worms.
No, not in a dank dungeon with skeletons and other undead. Like, no, like, thank you. Like, I've done it. I do not enjoy it.
Vritra attacks Sandoria. Flies in, swoops down right into the middle of the square, burns down half of northern Sandoria, just with fire breath. Ramper says, I am the king. That's not going to fly. He goes without Lightbringer to where King Ramper's tomb is made, so before it's created a tomb, and fights Vritra in its den. Him and his Dragon Knights. They beat it, and instead of killing Vritra, he says, hey, I'll let you live, but for that, you need to guard my tomb when it's gone, or when I'm gone. Vritra agrees, and that's why Vritra is in King Ramper's tomb, is he is guarding the tomb for King Ramper for a specific reason, which brings us back to the Lightbringer. Does anybody have any questions?
I've
Comments?
already learned more than I have being able to pay attention to the cutscenes. I'm in this. Let's go.
So one of the reasons I like the Sandorian storyline so much is the Lightbringer, is the concept of it. What's really interesting about it is, so a lot of people don't necessarily know, or at least not in the experience that I've had, Tavnazia was actually not its own nation. It was I think it's pronounced Marquisat, so like a marquis of Sandoria. It's their sister nation. So the current king, King Destin, is married to the princess, or whatever the title would be for Tavnazia. But what happened is Ramper said, this sword is too strong to give to anybody, or for anybody to have. Because we're done with our civil war, because I'm not going to go into wars anymore, I don't need it anymore. He gives it to the Marquis of Tavnazia at the time, Aphalion, and says, keep this safe. Never unsheath it. It is, way stronger than anyone should ever own. He passes on. Sort of life goes on for Sandoria. They're dealing with the Crystal War and having a bad time. The prince, or Prince Marquis, whatever the title is, of Tavnazia, Roshfagna, is in possession of the Lightbringer. King Destin of Sandoria, during the Crystal War, says, we don't have the forces to fight off the beastmen that are invading our home. So what we're going to do is we're going to write a letter. And we're going to give it to a messenger. We're going to send him to Devoy in order to get captured. That letter says that Tavnazia has a super weapon that they're going to use on the Orcish Horde. And basically gets the orcs to attack Tavnazia, which is the first cutscene of the game. When you load up the game, it all began with a stone. Then it leads into, you see Aldo and his sister in Tavnazia as the fall of Tavnazia. That's because King Destin tricked the orcs into attacking Tavnazia. Now, he rallied a bunch of forces from all the nations to try and say, like, hey, we're going to go help them. I'm not trying to be a total jerk about this. But ultimately, Tavnazia is just bombarded with a lot of people for multiple reasons, but the Lightbringer being the main one. Well, Roshfagna, who has the Lightbringer, draws it in order to fight off the orcs. When he draws it, the power is so strong that that is what destroys Tavnazia, not the orcs. Everybody thinks it's an orcish super weapon. It's not the orcs. It was the Lightbringer. Not only destroying it, but splitting it off of the continent of Kuan, because it used to be a part of the continent. It was really close to Sandoria. It was right like on the Lithene Plateau. So it severs it from the continent. And that small little island that Tavnazia is in, Lufay's Meadow, that's the sort of like the remnants of like what was split off from the main continent of Kuan. And that was all sort of King Destin's fault, really.
I mean, that makes more sense aesthetically from the trees and the grass and the way it looks. Because if you compare the trees and the grass of the meadows to, anything around Windy or anything around Bastock, it resembles the Ronfars. Or
100%.
Lithane Plateau, for instance. So I never made that connection before.
Yeah. And what's also kind of interesting is spoiler territory? Are we going into spoilers for the main storyline? I guess I kind of already did a little bit, but
It's 20 years
Sandorian.
old.
Okay. I just, in case anybody's still experiencing it for the first time. The other cool thing about the Lightbringer that I really, really love about it is, so part of the Sandorian storyline is like, let's find the Lightbringer, which they do off screen, which is really frustrating for me because I'm like, where did you find it? And they never say, or at least not that I know of. So Corellia, who's one of the leaders of one of the Night Orders, finds it off screen, brings it back, says, okay, we have it. The papal leader of Sandoria, so the Church of Altana, which is the prime religion of Sandoria, the papal leader says, okay, well, the sword can only be opened by like the true ruler of Sandoria, or the person who deserves it. Well, the funny thing about that, and his name is Shamond. Shamond is lying about that. Now we don't know if it can only be unsheathed by King Ramper's blood, like royal blood. That's totally possible. We don't really know, but unsheathing it has nothing to do with who should be king of Sandoria. But because they're all very religious in Sandoria, the royal family, King Destin goes, okay, sure. Well, Trion or his brother Puge are gonna like try to unsheath it. They start to unsheath it, and it starts getting ready to destroy things. It's stopped by Roshvagna shows up because he survived the destruction of Tavnazia. But what we find out is Eldnarch, the
Narsh.
older
Yeah, I don't know.
Narsh, I don't know, the older Zalardian brother from Rise of Zalart, actually visited Shamond, the papal leader, and told him, hey, the Lightbringer is something you should find, because if it gets unsheathed, it opens the gates to paradise. Now, part of the Church of Altana's beliefs is that paradise is where the Dawn Goddess resides. It's a place that they want to go. It's really important to their religion. So Eldnarch manipulates Shamond into then manipulating the royal family to unsheathing the weapon, which is not something that should happen. And that is kind of the first connection to Rise of the Zalart that you get. Well, I guess past seeing the Dougal brothers in the Shadow Lord storyline. But it begs the question, like, why would Eldnarch want that sword being unsheathed? Why? What possible reason brings him to Sandoria? Any thoughts?
Well, look at me. I'm learning as we go each step. I have no knowledge of this, so this is great for me.
So this edges a little bit into the Rise of Zalart territory, so I'll be kind of brief on it. I know we're focusing on the nations. But Eldnarch's ultimate goal in Rise of Zalart is to open up the gates of paradise. My theory, I have like one of two, right? It's either Eldnarch wants the sword to get opened because he does believe his own BS of, if this gets open, the gates of paradise gets open. That's exactly what he wants. Or my other favorite idea, which is that it's a fragment of the true crystal, which has enough power to effectively power the gates of paradise in Ruin Gardens. But all that to say, the Sandorian storyline is really interesting. It actually ties into like a huge part of the narrative of 11 because Paradise and the Zalart are sort of huge with that. And Sandoria is one of the so Sandoria kind of represents kind of the Zalardian side of that. Winder's kind of ties into the grander narrative with the Kulu. And it's interesting with those two. Bastok doesn't tie in with the grander narrative at all.
We don't need to get involved. That's kind of my theory. That's why I like Bastok. We mind our own business.
That is effectively like Bastok's whole deal. They're like, we're just merchants. We just trade.
When you're talking about it leading to paradise and opening the gates of paradise, and it's a profit situation, it reminded me of Halo. The three prophets they have, and they're like, the rings will bring us into our glory and lead us to the promised land. That I don't know why, it just reminded me of Halo. So
yeah, 100%. I mean, Sandoria's is very religious, and their religion, the Church of Altana, is very prophetic. Their prophecies, I have no idea where they come from. Maybe they have some like writings. I don't know, but Sandoria kind of, after the Civil War, took a step back from a lot of their like war stuff and like refilling their knight ranks and everything like that, which is kind of why Destin sent the Orcish horde over to Tabnazi, is because like he's technically right. Sandoria would not have survived an attack. They didn't have the forces for it. Tabnazi was kind of built as a stronghold, so it was more fortified. I mean, we can get into whether or not Destin was right. I mean, we could get into whether or not Destin was right or not right. That's like a whole other deal.
go fuck with them.
What's that?
Go fuck with them. Go fuck with them. They're the bad guys. Go over there. Fight them.
What I think the worst part of it is Destin didn't even tell the Marquis of Tabnazi that it was even going to happen. It wasn't like, hey, I sent him your way. It was like, and he doesn't. I guess he tries to hide it a little bit because the Sandorian royal family's whole deal is like they don't. You have to go through a coming of age ceremony to get a lot of insider information. That's sort of what the storyline is with Claudie. I think the name is Claudie, Princess Claudie. Towards the end, she like earns her place, and it's really like the three people who are realistically running Sandoria towards the end of the storyline. Destin's still in power, but it's mostly Treon, Puge, and Claudie, the three royal siblings. Yeah. I mean, that's really what happens with Sandoria. I mean,
I'm looking forward to the other nations.
The Lightbringer gets sealed back in King Rampart's tomb, which was the entire intention to begin with. That's why Veritra is there to guard it, is to make sure the Lightbringer does not fall into the hands. Rampart even shows up. He's like a ghost. It's really weird. They never explain it.
Yeah, he just shows up all like fucking Obi-Wan style and tells him, you should put that shit back where it was.
One of his dragoons shows up too, and he's almost like, why did you try to open this? Like, that's a bad idea. I even said not to do that. And King Destin was silent the entire time. Treon has nothing to say.
I kind of want to play the Sandy storyline now. Damn it, you guys.
Good.
It's not bad, and I'm a guy that skips storylines.
Sandy's story is good.
The one question with the Sandy storyline before we move on to another city is, the scene where they're going to unsheath Lightbringer and that like ninja orc is on the ceiling. How the fuck did it get there?
I really can't stress how bad Sandoria is with their defenses. It's awful.
We're a massive like fort with a wall. Yeah,
they built a wall.
The worst part of that too is that coming of age ceremony also had all of the leaders of the Knight Orders there. It had Corellia, it had Rahal. Like, they all should be there, but they just don't. I don't know.
It was just this random fucking ninja orc on the ceiling. And you're like, how did it even get in there? That's like all the way in North Sandy, past all the parapets and everything, all the way inside.
I wish
It's
I
real-
hadn't completed the Sandoria 10 missions or 10 ranks before hearing all this, because it would have given me a little bit more interest going through them and paying more attention to it.
It's real scary when Beastmen get sneaking invisible. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, that's terrifying.
On a ninja, when like ninjas in Horizon don't get sneak.
He popped a silent oil right outside the gate.
Cracking it.
You know what I mean. Don't act
Hell,
as
we
well.
already
just-
said how
he's just
lax the
greasing up.
security is. He went inside, bought it from a vendor, went in an alley, put it on, walked up to the fucking church.
Put just like a face mask on.
It's an
You
orc
don't have
outside with
trouser
like
wears?
shitty pointed ears on.
He goes up to the circus people in Sandy and just starts pretending like he's part of the circus.
It's a moblin mask. Not a goblin mask, a moblin mask.
Alright, so, since you yourself said Bastok doesn't mean anything, we're gonna go to Windy next.
That is not what I said. I got a lot to say about Bassak. Get ready for a spiel on Galkan reincarnation, but I can do Windy first. That's fine. Windurst is an interesting one because I think the narrative seems a little tight, but it's kind of, I think it's personally a little all over the place. But going back to the beginning when it comes to Windurst, now Tarutaru didn't originate in Saruta Baruta either. Now we mentioned Kuon, that's where Sandoria and Bassak are located. The other twin continent, the west continent, is called Mindardia. Now, the Tarutaru migrated to Mindardia real early on. And the ruins of Horototo ruins were already there. Now, the Taru are the first people to discover magic, most specifically a young Taru girl named Rimi Lala, because that's a Taru name.
Like the 10,000 piece is called the Rimilala Stripe Shell.
Yep.
Oh.
She was the first Star Sibyl, which is probably why she has a currency named after her. So she discovers magic, presumably using the stuff contained in the Horototo ruins. I'm not sure it's ever stated, but I think it's implied. There's a lot of implied stuff when it comes to 11. But she discovers magic. Then when they move in, they create the village of Windurst. They actually fully name it and everything. With them being there, within the first Star Sibyl's reign, Fenrir actually appears on the scene. He starts rampaging through all of Saruta Baruta. Rimi Lala, the first Star Sibyl, is able to calm him down and subdue him within the Full Moon Fountain, presumably his domain. As a little bit of context, all avatars, they exist within a domain. But I'll get to that a little bit as well. Now, throughout time, Windurst gets built up. They create Heaven's Tower in order to pursue astrology. A lot of Windurst is built on the idea of navigating the stars, using the stars to tell prophecies, using the stars for guidance. And most specifically, the Star Sibyls rely on Gordius, which is a massive supernova in the sky. It's a star. So Heaven's Tower gets built. Everything for Windurst is going really well. They are the first to fuse magic with technology. They use magic on everything. They're including their harvests. So they've got a ton of food. They use magic in order to build all of their homes. That's why in Windurst, if you go into one of like a Windurstian home, it's massive. It's not Tarutaru sized because the Tarus are greed isn't probably the right term for them. That's not their archangel sin, I don't think. But they basically rely on magic for everything. So much so that they begin to feel entitled. They develop the warlocks, and they go and seize Castle Ostrosia and subdue the Yagudo, basically knocking them down a bunch of pegs, saying this is, we're here, we're taking everything, and then begin to basically perform conquest on the entire Middle Lands. They basically subjugate the Elven, like we talked about. They subjugate the Humes, pretty much everybody. Now, what's interesting is at the time, this is when the Mithra. So Mithra are originally from a continent called Olsheria. Now, Olsheria is a little strict as far as we know, and they outcast a lot of Mithra. All of the outcast Mithra come to the Middlelands in hopes for like a better life, and the Taru, for some reason, find empathy for them, and they go, "Sure, you're welcome here. We're going to ally with you." And there's very little hostility. The Mithra actually set up the outposts of Mahora as basically their Middleland city. So Mahora is actually is basically like the first Mithran home in the Middlelands on Mindardia.
There's not a lot of Mithra there now, is there? In Mahara.
No, it's pretty equal.
Yeah.
There might even be more Humes than anything else, to be
Yeah.
honest with you.
I think you might be right.
I'm gonna explain the Taru Mithra thing. The Tarus are just fucking weebs, and the Mithra are cat girls, and so they're like, "This is fine. You guys are cool. You can hang out here."
Look at all the food I have. Look at all we can
It
do
checks
everything.
out. It really does check out.
And I'll
I
feel
mean,
frozen.
if there's a
Oh, no.
refugee cat coming to you and you have a nice house and you have all this food, all of these creature comforts and stuff, are you gonna say no to the cat? I don't think so.
The
good
Mithrin
point.
actually bring beast mastery to them, which not a lot of Taru really have an interest in, but Luongo Nwango, I believe that's his last name, the warlord, the warlock warlord, who goes and basically does conquest, learns beast mastery from a Mithrin, and effectively uses it to conquer everybody.
Oh, the one you said was like a mage beastmaster.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, I mean they conquer everybody, but the Elven eventually, push them back, ally with the Quidov, knock them back. They kind of back off at that point, and they go into isolation, where they develop their 5 ministries. They don't allow like any races that aren't Mithra to really interact with them at all.
Racist.
You basically never see Taru outside of Windurst during that time period. I think they actually have like a ceasefire treaty with Sandoria, which Sandoria actually eventually breaks, but Taru have magic, so it doesn't really matter. They do a big battle in Saramog, campaign. I don't know.
I think the word is the same as campaign. I think it's just spelled differently. I think there's an H in it, maybe.
Yeah, it's CH.
Yeah, it's like CH.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That word is champagne.
Champagne.
Honestly, in this game, it could be. I have no idea. The amount of ways I've heard Quiffum or Qfum be pronounced, I mean, God knows. So the Taru developed their whole political system, their whole political structure. They spend all these years doing this, and aren't really seen from again until like the Crystal War, when basically they send out their person to go explore Zarkabard with, all the other nations, people, where Raugrim eventually turns into the Shadow Lord. But they sort of kick it into high gear during this time. They sort of lean into technology. Someone who is really important in the Windursian story, Zanpa Zippa. You don't really see him too much, but he appears especially at the end. His kids are sort of the primary characters for the main story, but Zanpa Zippa creates the Cardians. He basically learns how to transfer life essence into inanimate objects and literally animate them. Now, the Beastmen of the Crystal War are invading, and Windurst spent all their time and power creating a political structure. They don't really have an army. They have their warlocks, but they're very few in numbers. Now, they're about to be overrun, their whole city. So, what's his name? Karaha Baruha of Windurst. I know it tracks. Effectively releases Fenrir from the Full Moon Mountain and uses Fenrir's power to just obliterate all of the beastmen that are in Saruta Baruta. He like just completely demolishes all of them. Now, in that act, he kind of like kills Fenrir. So it's interesting, right? In the Windurst storyline, Fenrir doesn't exist. Fenrir's been gone for 20 years. He his like the Full Moon Fountain, like nobody's been down there since Karuha Baruha like went there. And like the well that exists there has lost all of its, they call it celestial radiance. And Fenrir's gone. And that has massive implications. So like in the Windurstian story, you kind of find out that the Horatoto ruins, what they do is they absorb moonlight and they turn it into magical energy, which nourishes the whole land. And it's funneled through the Full Moon Fountain. So because Fenrir's not there for that to happen, that the ruins sort of malfunction. They're not able to basically disperse the lunar energy. I believe this leads to a lot of the malfunctions in the mana orbs that exist in the Horatoto ruins, which is sort of a earlier part of the story with that, where you have to go and replace them. But effectively, Windurst is slowly dying at the beginning of the Windurstian storyline. The loss of the Full Mountain is actually causing the tree at Heaven's Tower, the Great Star Tree, to wither. And nobody knows this except the Star Sibyl and Karuha Baruha. That said, Karuha Baruha, because of what happens, also dies. He dies with Fenrir.
Wait, what do you mean Fenrir dies? I feel like I didn't quite.
Fenrir dies. I mean, he's lost. He how do you explain it? So it's hard to talk about it without going into like the terrestrial avatars, right? So Fenrir is a terrestrial avatar. He is an avatar that Altana basically created as a guardian for a part of the land. So what happens way early on, he's existed since like the Zalart and the Kulu, like the COP stuff. Altana basically took a wolf and made that wolf an avatar, a terrestrial avatar. And terrestrial avatars generally have a purpose. So Fenrir's purpose here was to power or to take the energy from the Horatoto ruins and then like grant it amongst the land and basically make this part flourish. So, I mean, you bring up a good point, Quetch. It's hard to think about like terrestrial avatars being able to be killed because like celestials, like Titan, Leviathan, all the ones that are stuck in a crystal. I mean, we never even see their true form. We don't even know what they look like, technically speaking. They're all within a crystal. But terrestrial avatars are made. We don't know if they could die. Like Carbuncle could theoretically die. Bahamut could die. The terrestrial avatars being, Fenrir, Carbuncle, Diablos, Bahamut, and then a few other ones that we wouldn't have seen in
Like
in Horizon.
Right. Because like Treasures gives us like Alexander.
Nope, he's celestial.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you want me to name them, it's Phoenix, Siren, Kate Sith, and Atomos. Those are all the terrestrial avatars. Yeah. So anybody who's familiar with those expansions. But so a terrestrial avatar basically represents a thing that existed prior and then was turned into an avatar. So so I guess they can die effectively. So Winter's storyline continues, and we actually go through it, and we meet Graviton, who actually has a last name, which I don't even know. So Graviton is someone who's really important in the Rise of the Zalart storyline. It's I believe they're either a Dawn Maiden or a leader of the Kulu. It's one of the two. Kulu being they're Kulu, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so the leader of the Kulu. We come to find out. So first off, I need to share this. Graviton's last name is Barasachi, and that is the only known last name that we have.
He's
for
Italian?
Kulu, I believe.
Sounds like a bag.
I thought Graviton was a lady.
She is. Sorry. Yeah, Graviton is a lady. I apologize.
The last name
So-
sounds like a handbag, and the first name sounds like it's going to fight Megatron.
Yeah, her name is Graviton. God, what I have to like keep looking at it. Barasachi. It sounds like somebody had a JoJo. I'm not gonna lie. So regardless, we actually meet the ghost of Graviton, who she said, like, she basically says, like, I'm the memories left over in the temple of Ugalapa or whatever.
Ugly people.
Lo and behold, we find out that it was the Kulu that actually led the Taru to Saruta Baruta. It's kind of left vague whether or not it was physically led them there or through the stars, because there are other texts that say like the Taru followed guiding stars to their way to Saruta Baruta, and this happened a very long time ago. But regardless, we find out that the Kulu led them there. And not only that, the Horatoda ruins are actually the ruins of a Kulu city. One of the three great Kulu cities, being Soja was a city, Horatoda is a city, and the Temple of Ugg is a city. All those were great Kulu cities. Temple of Ugg being, I think, their capital. But the Horatoda ruins were created by the Kulu. Altana actually gifted Fenrir to the Kulu, as far as we know, in order to help make their lands rich and magical and everything. It's even implied that maybe the Kulu led Rimi Lala to the Horatoda ruins in order to learn magic. Again, a lot of implication. But Graviton effectively gives them a lot of power for this book called the Book of the Dead. It houses a lot of secrets of the first Star Sibyl. They, being you, the adventurer, and the Taru of the city, because you basically are going with a lot of the ministers, mostly Ajidu Marujidu. You continue on. You find out that the Star Sibyl was actually there when Karuha Baruha unleashed Fenrir 20 years ago. The Star Sibyl that we currently have, which I don't think she has a name. Most of the Star Sibyls actually have a name. I don't think our current one does. At least I don't know it. Karuha Baruha wasn't actually trying to summon Fenrir. What he was doing is trying to completely dominate Fenrir using a technique he called complete summoning. Now, that effectively fused his soul with Fenrir. And they both ended up sort of dying together. But he was working with Zanpazipa to create a special kind of Cardian. He created the Joker, which was supposed to be the leader of like something called the Ace Cardians. They're like special magic automatons. But the Ace Cardians are sort of like AI that was left over. Like they effectively created AI. And the AI was programmed to always follow their leader. But when Karuha Baruha died, they had no leader left. So they attempted to resurrect his greatest creation, Joker, with whom he actually split off a piece of his soul into. Now, things get a little weird because the Ace Cardians perform a special ritual to bring Joker back to life. I'm not sure what that ritual is. I think it maybe implies they use some of their soul magic to bring him back. I don't really know. But when Joker is brought back, a piece of Karuha Baruha's soul is brought back as well. So in the story, when you see Joker, that's actually Karuha Baruha taking over the Cardian. Now, what's also interesting is when a fragment of his soul was brought back, the rest of his soul was brought back. And it brought back Fenrir as well, which is why at the end of the Windurstian storyline, Fenrir is back. There's a lot also there in terms of like the Star Sibyls really trying to create relations between Windurst and the Yugudo. The Yugudo are historically the Beastman race that is like the most amicable to be like to work with. They have a ceasefire treaty now. That treaty gets broken because Horatoto ruins get reactivated, which causes sort of a huge problem. But really, what I think is interesting about Windurst, and I think is sort of the coolest part of it is they full on name drop the Kulu and the Zalart. I think before we even get them in the story, like I don't even think we hear about the Zalart in the Shadow Lord storyline. I don't think we get it until Rise of Zalart, and this is the only reference to them that I think that we have. Um, so this leads into like the greater narrative. I mean, Graviton, she shows up in like one of the first Zalart missions when you go to Den of Rancor and you fight the Toneberry, which the Toneberry, fun fact, are Kulu that have been transferred into Toneberry over time.
DA surprised.
Yeah, I don't follow any of the lore, so everything you say, I'm like, okay, and I'm moving the strings around and everything.
Oh, 11 is really like integrated in itself. The nation storylines are maybe the most in a vacuum thing that exists in an 11 outside of like maybe like not even treasures actually is a part of the whole huge grand narrative too. But yeah, it's all a lot of 11 is really interconnected. You get a lot of like lore from every spot.
When you said the first star symbol calmed down Fenrir from running amok and just destroying people, I immediately thought of Black Widow and the Hulk. The sun's getting real low and just calming it down. I don't know why. Like I said, Hulk, we got Avengers, we got Halo. So I mean, I'm just kind of trying to tie something to it to be able to understand these better because I didn't know any of it.
Yeah, 100%. And it's interesting because Fenrir is one of the most disagreeable avatars that you ever even talk with. He dismisses everybody outright. He's super arrogant. But at the same time, he is probably one of the more intellectually forward ones and is willing to make deals. You know, my theories are that Remy Lala probably made a deal with Fenrir, probably because Fenrir got out of control because the Horatoto ruins weren't working. And his whole purpose is for them to work so that he can spread the magic out. So presumably, Fenrir taught or asked Remy Lala to fix it, and theoretically they did. And the Taru have been upkeeping Horatoto ruins forever. I mean, it is they've learned a lot there too. That's why their magic really like grew. And the Taru eventually go on to teach magic to everybody. There's like a period of time pre-Crystal War where like even in like the timeline that it exists for this game that's like written down on the internet, it's even like chocobo riding is established as a thing that happens when all of the nations work together for this period of time and create trade agreements. There is a lot of lore that goes back to like trade agreements were made here, or this person comes into power as a result of like this thing. I think every Star Sibyl is documented somewhere. You could find the name of every Star Sibyl and like what they accomplished over the period of time. It's actually pretty amazing what people have sort of found, but a lot of it results in found magic, found a new way to use magic, created a new ministry devoted to special magic. And I think one of the other interesting things that I didn't really go over yet was, so in the storyline you find out about the Animastery, which is the hidden sixth ministry of Windurst. That was basically shut down by the Star Sibyl. Karuha Baruha created that ministry to kind of research summoning magic, more so to try and research how to dominate living beings. That was kind of
the back to the fucking ankle biters.
Yeah,
Okay.
Taru's, man.
Sounds like a Taru, yeah.
Yeah.
that was kind of his whole deal. He was like, I just want to control it. I don't want to like, because summoners in the game create a pact with avatars, right? Or at least are helped to guide a pact. I mean, when you do a summoner quest line, the doll that you talk with is not the summoner. That is some weird Taru named Mofrin Urin, something like that.
Urin Mofrin?
Urin Mofrin, yeah. Who I know shows up like later on, but he's also in the summoner. He's referenced in the summoner storyline. But he's the one who gives the players the reward, not necessarily the Avatar. I mean, the Avatar speaks briefly, but we know so little about celestial avatars. It's not even funny. We know that they create domains. We know that they control an element that exists in Vana'diel. And we know that they're asleep. We know that they're sleeping. I mean, I could get into other things that we kind of know about them, but it's a whole other discussion. That's really if you want me to go into like creationist myth, but
Maybe
yeah,
another
I mean,
episode.
yeah, that's a big one, and that's like COP too. But yeah, no, that's pretty much Winders. I mean, Winders connects to the greater narrative. Its characters are okay, I guess. They're all like power hungry. I don't know. They all do stuff for the sake of doing it and not actually like they're like, I just want to know what happens. So like let's do a thing, and then it causes massive problems. I don't know. That's Taru for you.
It all
Yep.
checks all the boxes for a Target.
Yeah.
Evil.
And by the way,
enslaving.
the Mithra are so extraordinarily irrelevant to the Windersian storyline. There's one Mithra, she's cool as hell, and it basically is just trying to keep everything on the rails and failing. And not even to her fault. It's because like she's trying to wrangle all of these Tarutaru into like, hey, maybe we should think about what we do before we do it. And all the Taru are like, nope, we're good.
But I mean, that's basically all the nations that are relevant. So, no, I guess
LTL,
we can talk
man.
about Bastog. He already he was grinning every time Druin said anything about how evil Tarus were.
I mean, they're not
Just that one Taru was super evil.
evil is subjective.
He's like fucking Voldemort putting his soul into other shit. Like, what a weirdo.
Yeah, even Luongo wasn't necessarily like, I mean, he was a bad dude, but like he really just wanted to do a bunch of fighting. That was his big thing.
He was
And the
Goku.
yeah,
He
100%.
just wanted to fight whatever he thought he could
We got
possibly lose.
Dragon Ball Z, Avengers, Harry Potter, and Halo. Okay, let's keep on going. Let's get this nerd out.
There's one more thing about Winders that I think is interesting. And that's they can literally read the stars and tell the future. Which I think is kind of a big lead that I kind of buried. But the Star Sybil, literally through Heaven's Tower, can read the stars, mostly the star called Gordius, and be able to create prophecies and predict the future in a much better way than Sandoria can, to be very clear about that. Like their prophecies actually come to pass. But their prophecies aren't like this is going to happen. It's like this will happen if this isn't done or this isn't done. There's always a kind of like a way out. Even Fenrir kind of makes a reference to it. But the current Star Sybil, when Fenrir died 20 years ago, it got rid of the ability to read the stars. So the current Star Sybil, who guides her people through prophecy, has just been lying to them.
Bullshitting.
Yeah.
Just bullshit, lying little ankle biters.
Modern day astrology for you guys. Back in the day, they could read the stars and stuff, and we knew what was going on. That's why there's all of this food and the land's all nice. But now it's just astrology.
Yeah, she's
Just
actually
great
been.
hair.
And what's funny is Winders has been like largely prosperous, so it's like she's been accidentally leading her people to like in a positive way, and then at the end of the storyline, she's like, oh, I can read the stars again, great. And I'm just like, maybe you should just keep doing what you're doing, but all right, to each their own. But Winders, which is kind of interesting that we never got a class that dealt with like astrology, sort of like 5IC14 has astrologian.
Astrologian.
Yeah. Which I don't know. In my head, I'm like, they're really similar. They do a very similar thing. But like, yeah, the Star Sybil, it's interesting.
Just picturing like a Mithra. Like, are you a Sagittarius?
Cool.
They predicted the Crystal War, and as far as I know, did nothing about it. They didn't bolster their forces. They didn't tell other people. They're just like, hey, war's coming, a period of darkness. Hopefully we can find our way through, and did nothing about it. Yeah.
So, like I said, even though I'm a Gelku, then I don't want to hear about Bastok. Bastok lore.
If it helps you, Bastok lore is basically only about Galka. So to understand and appreciate, I think, the Basok storyline, you have to go all the way back. So Galka, along with Mithra, but mostly Galka, were the first people to establish actual civilizations. Galka being the first one to establish like the first civilization in the Middle Lands. Um, as far as I know, I think they originated there, but I don't know if that's ever stated anywhere. But regardless, the Galka come from Zepwell Island, which is the region of Kuzots, the Altepa deserts. And back then, it was more lush. It wasn't as deserty, but they had a whole kingdom, like a massive kingdom that spanned both deserts, called the Kingdom of, I think it's the Kingdom of Altepa. So that's where the namesake comes from. Led by King, it's either King Altep or King Altepa. It's one of the two. I think it's referenced both ways, but he, they had a wildly prosperous civilization. I mean, it might be greater than anything that we even currently have. However, the game references it as an accident happens, and the Galka are basically destroyed at in Kuzots. They in Zepwell Island, they basically lose everything, and the accident basically stirs the Antikin. The Antikin see a weak Galkan people and effectively slaughters most of the Galka. Um, The Galka run away. They go to Volbo and to Gustaberg, sort of like both directions, right, from Kuzots. And they begin to settle in mostly Gustaberg, where they meet Hume tribes that exist in Dengrif Wadi. They kind of exist in that capacity for like a long time. And it's not really stated if there's like animosity or anything like that, but you fast forward a little bit where a man named Mayer is born in the Near East. So Near East being like Artagon, effectively. He travels to Bastok because it's been said that gold was found in the Gunskin mines. So he goes to effectively become a miner to find a gold rush. He gets there. He finds that he creates a life, gets married, all that good stuff, but also becomes subjugated by the Elven, who have sort of like, created their kingdom, have taken over. Well, a Sandorian knight kills his wife just on the street in front of everybody, in front of him and his Galkan best friend, Dalha. He gets really mad about that, decides to fight back. So he and Dalha establish like this militant group that fight back against like guerrilla tactics and fight back against Sandoria and effectively like push them back. And it's successful. They push them all the way back to Zolkheim, back to like Valkrum Dunes. They establish the democratic nation, the Republic of Bastok. They elect Mayor as the first president of that nation, give him a lifelong term, and effectively keep like creating this nation of trade. That's like their big deal. They mine, they trade. They're all about money. Bastok is all about money. It's always been that way. It will forever be that way. Now, Mayor, who is a hero to the people, I mean that it really can't be understated, is assassinated by a Galkan youth. That stokes animosity between Galkan and Hume people, which is sort of largely one of the great sparks as to like what leads us to where the Bastok storyline is. But Dalha continues like going in his friend's memory. That's why Dalha is largely the reason why you see a lot of Galka in positions of like musketeer power, where they're like largely like these really important guards and stuff, is because Dalha kind of paved the way for that. But effectively, new presidents effectively come in. They continue to build up Bastok. Bastok goes to war with Sandoria in Contrascat Highlands, loses miserably. goes back to Bastok and says, "Hey, we need to fight these guys better. They're more organized. They've got better weaponry. They create guns. They create firearms. They go to Conscious with guns and they win, shocking nobody.
America.
100%. What's kind of interesting is when Mare gets assassinated, at the exact same time period, the Quad of King, and this is sort of like an aside, but the Quad of King who existed at the time, who sided with Sandoria, King Dudaha, his policies also as a Quad of is also like, hey, let's like reach out, create like trade, and effectively like share this land. He gets assassinated by a Quad of youth named Vogo. Vogo destroys all of his epitaphs, removes all of his policies, and becomes militaristic, which kind of leads the Quad of to being how they are today, which is they're sort of religious zealots with the Quad of King kind of being like their god king in a lot of ways. But anyway, it's interesting parallels, I think, just narratively speaking, just to bring up. That's a lot of how Bastok was kind of founded. There's a lot of focus in the Bastok story on Galkan reincarnation and the Tailkeeper. Can I help you, DA?
Yeah. I was gonna say, you said the Anakin saw a weak nation and came up. I don't know where I heard that the Galkan nation disrupted them, and then that's when they basically came up because they were like hibernating underneath, and like millions came up, and that's when they fled.
No, I mean it's kind of also implied that the accident that the Galka underwent disrupted the Anakin.
It was like almost like they were mining down, and they were like, "Oh shit, what's this?" And
Right.
it's like open up a tomb, and all of a sudden, all these ants are
The
just like
Balrog.
So
Yeah.
my kind of theory is that I think the Galkans mess with the Earth protocrystal because it's literally was in like the lower part of their nation, like that is like the Earth protocrystal is where their capital would have been. So I think they did some kind of stuff with the Earth protocrystal, and it led to waking of the Anakin and the destruction of the Galkan people. That's my current theory.
Overwhelming amount of Anakins that
Oh, yeah.
it was like one-on-one combat they'd be okay, but it was like millions versus city, and it was just an overwhelming amount. They had to get the fuck out.
So that's where Galkan reincarnation comes into play.
The other thing I wanted to bring up is one thing I've always been told as long as I've been playing this game, that each one of the three main nations represent three different nations around the world. Sandoria was Europe, Winters was Japan, and Bastok is America. And when you were mentioned, it's all about the money and the guns and leaving, and it's about the power that they have, and that just reminded me of that. I don't know how accurate that is, being able to listen to this, but the doing it for the Sandoria for their belief system, and they're doing it for God, and this is the prophet and everything like that.
God and country.
God and country, that reminds me of Europe. The Japan side of things for Winters, I don't know how well that works, but it's more nature and being one with it. But you were talking about them being ankle biting pirate like killers, so I don't know if that's true. But
I mean,
that's how I've always viewed each nation.
Winters definitely has ties to nature. I mean, that's kind of like their whole deal. The only reason Ceruta is as lush as it is because they respect and upkeep the thing that creates that nature.
Yeah,
Gustaberg is
nasty,
upkept.
No, it's not.
Dirty.
It's
Dusty?
literally a desert with some mesas in it.
Look,
It's Arizona.
I got
it's
nothing.
Nebraska and
It's
Arizona.
It has-
Arizona.
It has the best song of the three starting
Opinions.
whatever, but Gustaberg,
That
man,
is an opinion that you have.
Gustaberg's awful.
Mhm.
It's awful. I love Bastok, but Gustaberg's horrible. The fact that you can't go from left to right on North Gustaberg is just the worst.
Yeah, that's
I
pretty
hate
bad.
that.
But you can in the
That's
past.
so much.
There's a trail that goes up
There
between
is.
the two in the past.
Yeah.
Yep.
If
Little.
they're so good
zigzag.
at gathering money and gathering resources and stuff, can't you make like a little, I don't know, like a bridge up or something?
A ladder.
Anything.
You know, an
Yeah,
elevator
get a
with
ladder.
ship that barely works, like in the
Yeah, a
Palmer
mess.
Mines.
Yeah, fucked up elevator, something.
Yeah.
It
They have the
it's-
technology.
They do.
It says a lot that the fastest way to Palboro Mines is to go to Gunskin Mines, then Mobopolis, then escape, and then hoof it to Palboro Mines. Whereas, like, if you want to get to Gideus, you literally just either grab a chocobo or you leave and you walk 5 minutes and you're there.
You outpost, you stretch, you yawn,
Or outpost, yeah.
you mosey over.
You want to get to Gelsima, you literally zone out and walk for 2 minutes and you're there. It's terrible. Anyway, I'm trashing my own nation, which is terrible.
It's just natural. It's
not. Bastok is the best. It's the best layout.
So Galcan reincarnation.
All right, Galcan reincarnation. So you bring up the Antikin numbers. It's a interesting point because even in the story, Zed talks about it when you go to see the mural that is in Quicksand Caves. And he says that the Galcan people in the Kingdom of Altepa, they lost because Galkas can't reproduce. Antikin can, and in vast numbers. The number of Galka that exist on Vana'diel is the same number that will always exist forever and always until the end of time. Because Galka cannot create more Galka. The way that Galka effectively die and come back is when an old Galka is reaching their time, they feel it. Galkan people are very spiritual, and I'll get into that a little bit too, but Galka feel it, and they go on a journey of reincarnation or journey of rebirth. And it leads them to the everybody's favorite level 41 beetle camp in Western Altepa Desert. Revelation Rock, I believe is the name. Am I wrong? I mean,
no, you got it.
No,
you got
you're
it.
right.
I was just thinking
You're
about
right.
Ray J.
Look, Galkas go there because it's a spiritual holy place. We go there because we want a level 40 job. But Galkas literally make their way there, and in I think it's stated in the pools there, they burst into a beam of light and become a Galkan child. And that Galkan child effectively wanders its way either through the desert, through Korloka Tunnel, all the way to Bastok, or to Raval. That's 100% how Galka come back to life. That is their entire rebirth structure. 100%.
I
don't
know.
have-
Fuck all the people that said we come from eggs.
You do not.
Do they start at level 1? How are they going through the desert
have-
like that? It is dangerous out there. Things aggro. What the fuck?
I mean,
We
if
gotta
they
get
die,
up to
they
HP.
immediately get brought back in the pool again. So, I mean, there's always going to be the
guess,
same amount, right? But they don't have the same memories or same personality. It's kind of a clean slate across the
Yes.
board, right?
Yep. So when a Galka reincarnates, it loses all memory. That said, sometimes they'll reincarnate with belongings of their former lives, and they'll wander into a town where somebody knows the belonging, so they'll get the same name. That's something that totally happens. But they don't have memories of their former lives. The only Galka that does is known as the Tailkeeper, and you might laugh at this, but the Galkan the Galka religious system is known as Tailkeeperism. And their belief is that so every generation, a Galka is born with the memories of every Galka that has ever lived from the last 200 years.
It's like a book.
Yep. And they carry with them the memories of their people. That's effectively their job. And the Galkan people, it's not really worship, but they look to that Tailkeeper as being a guide for their people. Now, the Tailkeepers that we know of, like the former one was Raugrim, the guy who got turned into the Shadow Lord. He was a Tailkeeper. When he got turned into the Shadow Lord and effectively died, the current Tailkeeper was born, and his name is Goomba, and he's a main character in the Bastokian storyline. God, I could talk about Galkan reincarnation for days because it's endlessly fascinating, and I know it verges a little bit into other territory, but it's interesting to think about it because like there's Galka Fomor, which are undead, so like, are they getting reincarnated?
It's the empty shells of the previous Galka that have passed.
You literally fight Galkan ghosts in like some AF quests.
Mhm.
Are their souls just trapped forever, not to be reincarnated? That effectively means like, do Galkan numbers eventually die out?
I was happier not thinking about this, but now that you mentioned the Fomors and the ghosts,
Why don't they just write a book of their experiences to be able to give it to their kid's self after they're and they pick up the book and read it? Do they have reading
Or-
abilities like when they, or do they have to learn everything from square one?
I think I think they're reborn with like they have language. I think. I don't know.
Just a natural.
I think so. I think native language. I mean, it's in 11. There's no like languages like there's not, as far as we know, like Elven, Galkan. Like everybody kind of just speaks like common for the most part. But yeah, like Galkan is born. They can effectively talk. I don't think very well. You meet a recent reincarnation in the Basokian storyline because in the story, Gumba's searching is retracing the steps of his best friend Werai's reincarnation. Werai just went on like a journey of rebirth, and he's retracing it, and he finds the newly reincarnated Werai. Because he looks the exact same, which is something that like doesn't happen very often, but randomly does now. And I forget where I was going with this, but I mean, the implications are numerous. It's also like if a Galka dies out in the field, does his soul make its way back to the place of rebirth? Is Revelation Rock the only place where they can get reborn? Why was that place chosen?
When you die in WoW, they gotta.
Oh,
Yeah, we get a spirit walk. Back.
Spirit walk.
Yeah, all the way over there, and then all of a sudden rebirth.
You know how pissed I'd be
respawn.
if as a Galka, every time I died, it put me at Revelation Rock, and I had to run back to wherever the fuck I was.
Try to go to the outpost and get jumped by a bunch of fucking goblins.
This entire like lore of Galka made me like, I want to play Galka, but then I'm thinking if I create a new Galka, that just means somebody deleted their character, and I'm just playing there.
Basically, you're adding to the Galkan population, so you're a statistical anomaly. But yeah, no, I mean, if a Galka dies out in the field, does their soul make their way back? Does somebody carry it there? Like, honestly, nobody knows. I think like the racist resurgence talks about this, like the new Favesi 11 stuff, but I don't know it very well. I'm kind of sticking to like even pre-treasures. So that's honestly, that's what we know about Galkan reincarnation. Also, nobody's ever seen it happen. So nobody's ever witnessed it. Nobody ever thought to go, I'm going to go with them.
Nobody's been at a level 40 beetle camp and just been like, what the fuck is that beam of light?
That would be so fucking great to have a random beam of light just once.
I was gonna ask if
when a
they're
hardcore
so
dies.
If they're so in touch with their spirit and they know that they're gonna be leaving this earth soon, and they're like, okay, like my spirit's calling me to go to like Revelation Rock right now because I feel like I'm about to fucking die. Why don't they ask like one of their homies, like another Gelka, like, hey, I need to roll up on Revelation Rock because I'm about to die again. Can you like give my shit back to my young self and like
you pick up my kid?
like, yeah, will you pick me up as a kid when I come back and also like give me my shit back so I don't start off with like level 1 gear trying to run through the desert? Can you do me a solid, please?
Where it's like the official, like when elephants go into their spot to die, it's like the official last walk. It's a moment of you. It's
they have to be alone.
The ending. You have to be
Zen
alone.
Moment, right?
It's actually answered in the lore when Gumba talks about it in terms of where it's supposed to be a very like personal journey that you take. It's your last moments with yourself, because you have to think about it from a Galka perspective. You're about to become somebody completely new and never know who you were. So it's like for them, it's their final mark on the world. It's like some Galka leave notes for other Galka to follow. I think it even is stated that some Galka leave notes for their new selves. And to even jump back way far to the question you asked, like, why don't they just write a book? It's a great question. The implication would tell me that I think they're so spiritual and they trust so much in the Tailkeeper. There's something important in only remembering the last 200 years because it allows the Galkan people to move forward. If Galka knew their entire history, I feel like they would be worried and constrained about being caught in the past, which is actually what a lot of the Basokian storyline is about, because the Galka want to go back to Altepa and they want to sort of what stokes the animosity is Korloko Tunnel is closed down and like the regular folk are not allowed access to it, but the Galka believe that it's their ancestral home and they want to go back there and they want to like recreate their homeland. But Gumba, as the Tailkeeper, goes, why would you want to do that? It's all rubble. There's Antikin there. They're terrible. Nobody wants to fight ants. We literally have a city here that's getting better because President Karst has his issues. He is the current leader of Basok, but part of his policy is to create a more equal landscape for Humes and Galga. Actually, pretty much all people who are in Basok. Gumba's basically like, that would be folly to go and do that.
See, that's a beautiful thought on it. I just like to think that their hands are so mangled from working in the mines that they can't write.
Probably true. Probably true.
Cal.
I mean, honestly, that's most of what Basok's story is about. It's about the personal journey of rebirth. It's about the fall of the Galkan civilization. There's like the last story mission is randomly brings Volker, who's like the head of the Musketeer Order, like the main Musketeer Order, Basok, goes to fight with Zed, the Dark Knight in the storyline, in the Shadow Lord story. Because Volker's uncle is the one who killed Raugrim and forced Raugrim led to the events where Raugrim turned into the Shadow Lord. So Volker's like, oh, I feel bad because my uncle did that, and I don't think I should lead because of it. And he comes out of nowhere. None of the other missions, Volker, I mean, he shows up, but he's like never a factor. I don't know. It's like weirdly jarring. It's cool to see Zed because I think Zed's like a edgy, cool character, but I don't know. It's pretty much Basok. Basok doesn't really connect to the greater narrative in any capacity. It doesn't mention the Zlar. It doesn't mention the Kulu. It connects to COP, kind of, but probably best left for another time.
I mean, it sounds like it's working out for him. Everybody else is just warmongering or civil wars and killing each other. So, I mean, Basok seems to have it doing all right.
Bastards over there doing their full warlord fucking gun trade. They're over there printing out fucking muskets and shit and sending it to war.
100%.
I told you, America.
So Sid in Basok was the first person to really adopt crystal synthesis and turn it into something like super meaningful. And like all the technology that he created, like Basok is the richest nation. It is the most militaristically sound nation. Its political structure is extremely solid as far as we know. Like, what? What's that?
No, America, and then not America. When you said political structure is solid, continue.
I'm just saying, look, you can rag on Basok all you want, but it is the most structurally and effectively sound nation, just objectively.
Get wrecked.
I'm a Galka and I'm from Sandy because nobody wants to live in that shithole.
Literally dirt and mud and previous slaves. Okay.
So what if I gotta walk around and watch Dommels sniff their own farts?
Why is the water so dirty in Bastok if they have all that money and technology?
I can answer that question as a Galka. As a Galka, we shit in your water supply. That is why it is that color.
I will say Basok imports a lot of food because they can't grow a lot of food there.
Oh, in the desert, in the rock,
their big issue,
can't grow food.
I guess. But when you have gun money, you can buy whatever you want.
Gun money.
I want more information on the Galka stuff because it sounds like they had like a paradise, kind of like Egypt. They have all these like cool shit on the walls. There's those freaking like levers inside of like, is it the
weighted levers
or whatever that you just need one Galka to open the door.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why they were like that. Yeah. And
Yeah.
then they opened a door like in the movie The Mummy, and all those little bugs came out, and then just fucked up their world.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
No, the Galka stuff is really interesting, and I cared not even a little bit until I started like looking into 11's lore about Galka. They were my least favorite race. I still will never play one. I'll only ever play a Hume. But
Hold on, making a note to never invite Druin back.
what? I got nothing against them. Their lore is really cool. I really like Galka from a lore perspective. The Tailkeeper is a great concept. It is a very interesting thing. It's something that they really like to play with. The other thing to note is the Tailkeepers always have cursed lives. They never get to live out their journey of rebirth ever. Like they always die prematurely. So Raugrim got turned into the Shadow Lord. I think the one before him, I don't even remember, drowned, was assassinated. One of the two things. They always have something bad happen to them. So like a lot of what Gumba says in the Best storyline is very doom and gloom. It's like he a lot of it's like, oh, I don't want to be the Tailkeeper, but like I should be the Tailkeeper, but I'm also gonna die really soon. And it's like,
Isn't
Why
Gumba
doesn't
still
somebody
a child
assign him-
Galka too?
Yeah, he's a little cute thing. Why doesn't somebody assign him some bodyguards or some shit
Needs
if he knows
Invincible
that?
Shield and Iron Eater to watch him.
so they
like,
kind of
Get
do.
your homies.
It's like Final Destination where you can't avoid it. Like you just
Mhm.
He would get bodyguards, and then one of them would be like sheathing his great axe, and it would fall and cut his head off. Yeah.
So Iron Eater, Zed, and Volker kind of take over. Like, I guess it's kind of implied that they like protect Gumba as like the new Basok spiritual leader because, so Gumba lives in Basok Mines, and Basok Mines is where all the Galka live because, of course, they do.
Right. Yeah.
And so Gumba kind of builds a community there for all the Galka, and
He's a kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess, but
He's
he
a
has
kid
got
in the
memories.
mine? So he's a miner?
He doesn't mind, no.
Oh, my
He's
bad.
the Galka leader. He has the memories of, and I can't stress this enough. It's every Galka. It's every Galka that has lived over the past 200 years. Not the same Galka for the last 200 years. Every Galka that has ever lived for the past 200 years. He has the memories of all of them.
That would mean he would remember every death of every Galka for the last 200 years.
Yes, 100%.
And his own
yeah.
deaths.
Yep. He remembers what it was like to be turned into the Shadow Lord because he remembers Raugrim.
He remembers that one time that like a Galka was blasting a rope to the Star Sibyl and like how embarrassing that was. Like, I mean, he's got all those memories. That's fantastic.
I want to point out LTL hasn't said shit for like 45 minutes, and that's the first thing he said.
Blasted a rub?
He's blasting rope.
Oh.
People
Look
used
it
to
up.
think that Galka reproduced by budding. If you go back to old forum posts, they were like Galka is like, they're like asexually amoebas. They reproduce by budding. They go off into the distance and they like split into two. Nope, 100% not. No.
And there was the egg theory. And...
The egg theory. Yep. Old forum posts are really wild when it comes to Galkan lore because they just have no idea. They have no idea. It's great.
Who was it that last said something about Galkas becoming? Oh yeah, it was Crab Dance. Fuck you, Crab Dance.
Was it he thought they were eggs in a tree? I believe it was like
Something like that.
yeah, yeah. It's crab dance.
He's heard crab too many times.
So Druin, so I know that part of the reason you've looked so deeply into this lore is because you are the dungeon master for our Pathfinder FFD 20 game that we've been playing. DA and I have been a part of. I've mentioned it a couple times here on the podcast, but I wanted to basically give you the chance to like maybe tell us about how you designed that, like where you kind of like drew your inspiration from, just built it within the confines of like Vana'diel and its overall storyline, even
the lore of 11, how you build a world within the lore, like the lore of 11.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, FFD 20 is a system that was fan made based on Pathfinder First Edition. It has a website, it has a Discord. All of those dudes are great. It's a really cool system if you're a big Final Fantasy fan. I cannot recommend it enough. That being said, the system itself is not built around Final Fantasy XI. It's built around kind of all Final Fantasies. So you'll have races that are like the Banga from Final Fantasy 12, or the Ronso from Final Fantasy 10. So the system itself has a lot, including classes that aren't even in 11. So it's an interesting question how you take that system and put it into 11. 11's lore is so fragmented that I think it's both very frustrating but also very interesting to build like a tabletop RPG style game out of, because there's so much there that you can pull from, but there's so much gaps in information that you can like add in your own stuff. So like a great example is like the Kingdom of Altepa, what we were just talking about with Bastok. You can take it, you say an accident occurred and it woke the Antikin. You get to say what that accident was. You get to play with stuff like, there's an orc inside of King Rampar's tomb. Why is that there? 11's lore is, I think, really good for that. That being said, it can also be hard to stay true to it, because if you really go and look at it like an 11 timeline, it is so fleshed out for certain periods of time. So when you want to like add in certain things, you have to kind of respect that source material, or at least in my opinion, like build off of it. So if something happened in the past and this is the way that it was, you kind of want to take what that thing is and try to like make your own thing, but also pay respect to like that. I don't know. I think it's easier than you think. I mean, another really good example is like alchemy exists in 11. Quetch, you play a chemist in our FFD20 game. Obviously, that class doesn't exist in 11, but alchemy does. So, it's like, how do we translate chemist to like a tabletop game in the world of 11? Well, it's really not that bad. You associate them with the alchemy guild, you give them potions to be able to use. The FFD20 system has a chemist class in it. The lore sort of allows for it to happen. Every single Final Fantasy class you could want, a Final Fantasy 11 class is in that system. We have a Corsair, we have a Puppet Master. Yeah, I don't know. I think it.
One of the things, if I have a follow-up question, is one of the things I know we've talked about is when you were deciding what time in Vana'diel are our characters taking place. And I remember you saying that you had like lore considerations for placing us where you did. Do you remember that conversation?
Yep. So the campaign that we play takes place after the storyline of Artergon, whereas like all these stories happened, but before Wings of the Goddess takes place. The reason I do that a little bit is because Wings of the Goddess, in my opinion, is a little bit where the Final Fantasy lore goes a little haywire and doesn't really connect to the. Yeah, I mean, it makes seeing what you're doing, DA. I think you're right. It crisscrosses a lot. It doesn't really connect with the story that I would prefer to tell in Vana'diel. But I think Artergon connects even to some of the previous expansions in like a really cool way. So, and it's interesting because how do you navigate, like, the Archduke is gone. He's been killed, him and his brother. So it's like, who's in charge of Juno? Could anyone even tell me, like, who's in charge of Juno in the Final Fantasy XI story after we defeat the Archduke? Does anyone know?
DA, for those of you listening, DA is slowly scooting his chair off of the side of the screen.
Yeah, so it's implied in the game that it's Cardinal Mildarian, who is Esha Tenarl from the COP storyline, but it's never stated. There's rumor that the Armathrin Society like secretly controls the back alley dealings of Juno, and that the what is Aldo's organization? The Ten Shoto, um, are sort of like working with them to sort of keep the nation of Juno afloat, but it's never stated in game, right? So like those things need to be fleshed out, and you have to tell your players like, oh, you have heard that the Archduke is gone. You don't necessarily know why. There's rumors that he was plotting some sort of bad thing and was ousted and hasn't been seen from or heard from. It's also like, who's in charge of Sandoria? Well, Trion is now the king. Destin's too old. You kind of have to set the stage a little bit and take. I think you have to take a few liberties. But yeah, I mean, you kind of got to play with the lore, I think, a little bit.
With the 3D environments that we've been actually playing the games in, I've been blown away by them because of the different environments. But we've been using Tailspire to be able to actually be in a 3D world. How long has it taken you to be able to build East Ronfar or King Rampier's Tomb from scratch in a 3D environment for this campaign?
East Ronfar wasn't too bad. I don't know a time. I think I built King Rampier's Tomb over the course of like, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours. Wasn't too bad. King Rampier's Tomb was probably one of the more detailed ones. I don't know. I mean, you'll see them, but it doesn't take that long. The assets exist. It's really nice. It's cool because I can actually physically take my character to that location and look around. And the add-on that we all have in the launcher, XI Camera, it lets me zoom out. I can look at the overall area. Like I was able to look at all of King Rampier's Tomb from the top down. And Tailspire has a lot of support online, so people will have created assets and boards already that I can take pieces from. That really sort of speeds up the process. Yeah.
I'll be able
Yeah,
to show a little bit of that on screen too, so the audience, so you can see, for those of you on YouTube, you can see the King Rampier's Tomb that Druin had put together for our campaign. It was one of the first things we had gone to.
I didn't want to spoil anything later on. That's why I mentioned those.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's fun to try and create a little 11 flavor. The FFD20 system has stuff like weapon skills. It has stuff like skill chains. Things that are really like sort of classic 11 that I think are super cool and a lot of fun. But it's also creating that flavor, like crystal synthesis. Crafting systems in tabletop RPGs are really hard to do. So it's like, how do you make that fun? In 11, all you do is you put down a crystal in your materials and you use magic to, I don't know, who knows, right? It's some sort of like mystical process synthesis that it's cool to try and like give some reasoning into how it works. I don't know. It's fun to really, it's a fun playground to play in, I think. Yeah.
Anybody else have any questions about that? About the RPG we've been up to? I know we've talked about it.
I've tuned in a couple of times while you guys were live streaming it in your Discord. So I was going to mention that if anybody's interested, they can join Quetch's Discord and go on. I think it's Fridays when you guys usually do your sessions.
Yeah, we weren't getting a lot of attendance, so I've kind of moved off of that.
Okay.
But I will say I do.
Reasonable.
I have been. I'm at the tail end of finishing my first YouTube video on it. So if people want to see like if Vana'diel set on with a tabletop RPG that Druin has amazingly crafted, that video will be coming very soon. After potentially it will be announced as a premiere on my YouTube channel when this podcast goes live. So
he timestamped it. He timestamped it. Did you hear that, Druin?
No, he has to do it.
He has to now.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
We've been hearing something along those lines for a minute.
I mean, hey, live plays are hard to digest. I mean, it's 4 hours of like a Critical Role stream is be rough. So I get it.
Yeah, so if that's something anybody's interested in seeing, definitely keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, it's fun. We're having a really good time with it. It's
Yeah.
It's very 11. It's very cool.
I'm a complete rookie to all of it, so I've been very thankful that they've held my hand because I've never done anything at all along these lines. So it's continuous of holding my hand, just like in everything we do on this podcast as well. But it's been nice to kind of be guided along this process, and had a blast with it. Some of the jokes that are continuously happening every episode, moblins, goblins, bombing guards. I mean, it's all great. I've really enjoyed it.
Hey, it's a new system to me too. I've never played it before. This is my first time. I have experience with other systems, but and I haven't even, I haven't played Pathfinder first edition either. So, it's a learning experience. I love learning new systems. So,
Yeah, I think Cal, you've done Pathfinder.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and Ayame.
5e and Pathfinder.
Yeah. Have you guys played first edition, or do you know what edition you even played? Because I know we talked about this briefly at some point.
No, ours wasn't first edition.
second edition's pretty new. Last like couple years, I think.
I played Pathfinder for the first time like last year.
Okay, yeah,
Oh.
it might be second.
I
I
played
played a
in,
lot of
like,
5e though.
I think it was like in 2012 for me or something like that. It's been a long time, and that's the only time that I played. So
I know LTL has experience playing tabletops as well, right?
Lots of D&D. Started with second edition, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. Yep.
Oh wow, yeah. See, I started at fourth.
LTL
I'm an
had
old
to make his
person.
own figures out of paper mache
We had
and
to make the paper on
Nice.
our own, and then
Yeah.
use the coal from the fire to write down our stats. And we didn't have 20-sided dice. We just punched our friends.
You got to play by
And how many
candlelight.
bruises popped up. How many stats we got. Yeah, it was great.
Oh, what? Yeah. I mean, hey, I could sit and talk around tabletop RPG systems forever, but yeah.
Again, though, I'm the rookie out of everybody, so thank you. Thank you for holding my hand.
Don't worry,
on it.
DA. We'll get you to play more.
Yeah,
We'll know like the back of your hand.
yeah.
Had you played before, Quetch?
No, the only thing I've done, I did a one-shot D&D campaign in like 2016 or something like that, where it was like, I found out later on, it was like the introductory D&D campaign, like if you just like looked up a list, it was
the
like
intro book.
the town is on fire or something like that, and you got to get through the town, like, and that was it. And then there was like a keep at the end, and there's a giant bad guy. And actually, that experience was kind of memorable. I know I'm kind of talking it down here because it wasn't like, it was just something we did kind of on the fly. But I ended up rolling a really good stealth check, and I picked up some dynamite earlier in the thing. And I rolled a good stealth check, and I put the dynamite in like the robe of the big bad, and blew him up. Took out his remaining hit points.
Nice.
Oh,
Pre-generated characters, or did you make one?
I made one. I was playing a goblin.
Goblin rogue.
Yes, I think it was. It must have been. I mean, if I'm gonna try to stealth the
Hey, bards are stealthy.
yeah.
Hunters can be stealthy.
But yeah, I didn't put too much thought into that character. It was just like, okay, so we're gonna make up characters. I'm like, goblin sounds fun, and yeah, that was that. So that was my only experience. These guys have all had a lot more, I think, than I have. Well, except for DA.
But yeah. That brings us to the part of the episode that we call Glitch Fest. And since Druin plays, I know he might have seen a couple of glitches on Horizon recently. I don't have any, but I know Ayame has one.
there was one today, even.
I
Freaking
was talking about the burbs,
burbs.
Dave.
Oh yeah, dude, I've been having a bunch of glitches now that I think about it. So when we went to go fight birds for HE&Ms, I was trying to cast haste on Hi, I'm Dave. It wouldn't let me freaking cast haste on him for whatever reason. It wasn't like buffing him too. Like I was doing Protector, and it was like buffing everybody in the party except for him. And then after we got the status, it wouldn't let me haste him. It was like, you cannot attack this target. I'm like, Dave is not a target. Please let me haste him, and it wouldn't let me. I don't know. It was being really weird. The
The
whole
weird thing
fight.
is everybody else could cast on Dave.
Yeah, I
Except
couldn't.
her, but she could cast on everyone else but Dave.
It kept
It's a status
this.
problem.
Yeah, I don't know. It was really weird. It kept saying you cannot attack this target, and I'm like, I'm not even trying to attack him. I'm trying to give him haste. I'm trying to buff
She
him. I'm
couldn't
trying to
even heal
help
him.
him out.
You should
No,
try
I
to
could
hold.
heal. I could heal him. I couldn't haste him.
Oh, I
don't
thought
know
you
why.
couldn't heal him at one point too.
Probably. I don't know. It was.
I
It was
remember
weird.
like Chandelin healing him because you couldn't heal him.
I couldn't do stuff to him. I don't know what the hell is going on. It was being stupid. I don't know. Today though, we had another glitch. We were in Limpus, right? And we went to go enter Central Temenos or whatever the hell to go fight Omega. And we all got in, and our white mage was like teleported to another area with a different team. So we didn't have a white mage in there. We went to go fight Omega. So I had to, and we only had me and the white mage. So I had to main heal the whole damn thing and keep the debuffs on it. And it was kind of a nightmare for me personally. So there was that. It didn't take his soap though. It put him
Oh.
in a different Tem area with another party alliance or whatever. And didn't take his soap, but it was a mess. I don't know. I don't know why
I
that
can just
happened.
Hear Einhander's deep ass voice like, the fuck? How did I get here?
It's
Dr-
like I'm somewhere else. There's
Druin,
another
didn't
party here.
Didn't we have somebody in our Ultimo run one time? Wasn't there another person?
Maybe.
A random person?
Yeah. I think they had said because we they were like in like log
They
out
logged
pose.
in.
They logged
right?
they logged in.
They logged
because-
into our zone, yeah.
Yeah, because they had disconnected during their run, and they logged in during ours.
They're just like, this isn't where I parked.
That's weird.
Something
Yeah.
And
with,
I had one more glitch too.
Oh wow.
Freaking yeah, I know. There's a bunch of glitches. We went to go do the weeklies on Sunday with my dad, and he's running around. And he's a dragoon. I'm looking at him like, what the fuck? Do you have a shield and a freaking polearm on at the same time? And he's like, yeah, I can't get it to go away. Been trying to make it so that this shield goes away, and it won't go away. It keeps being on here, even when I have a sword out, and then I put it away, and then I put his polearm back on. It's still here. It won't go away. We're just like, okay, I don't know how to help you. He had
Take
to
advantage,
change
tell him
his
to tank.
He would not be able to, but he looks so silly. I don't know. I think that's cool. It's like some Spartan shit where he has his whole shield and like a freaking polearm, but
I meant to try
can't
to
use
recreate
both,
it
can't
because
really block.
I wonder if you just put in your lock style set a shield. I wonder if that just does it. I wonder if his lock style
He
set.
doesn't lock style.
He doesn't lock
He doesn't
style?
lock- This man is in his 60s, okay? His birthday
I
is
don't know how you'd even
in like
have that glitch.
in like less than 2 weeks. His birthday is coming up. But yeah, I don't know how you did that. I sent you that picture of him.
Yeah, I'll put
with
it
the
up
shield
because
and
it's great.
Was it a shield dragoons can wear?
I don't know.
I don't
I think it's
it
the
is.
Sandorian
Yes,
one or
Andorian
something.
one. I saw the photo. Yeah, it was the Sandy one.
Is that
I don't know if you could.
yeah. Oh, okay.
It's probably like Royal Knight Shield or something like that. It was the red one. Oh,
You
we
level
have
other
the screenshot.
jobs?
We
Like
can
I
put it
don't.
on.
That's wild.
Those are all my glitches.
I have one. I don't know. Maybe you guys know how people are doing it, but apparently, I saw some Galka missing their entire bottom half in town, and I was like, I don't really feel like restarting my game right now, so I'm just gonna go somewhere else.
Yeah, it's when if you put a piece of gear on in your lock set, and then you put it into your like your storage slip, and then you keep that lock style for Galka specifically. It'll show as you don't have that part of your body. How you do
Okay,
it.
thank you for the answer, because I
And it's
somebody
like
else had said it was
90% of incredibly handsome running around missing their bottom half.
okay. Well, now, dear viewer, you know how to do that if you were a Galka. Something reincarnation, something
What a
bottom half of your
It's
body.
a partial reincarnation.
What a shame to lose any amount of Galka, really. They're never going to come back. Those bottom halves are gone. Take them to Revelation Rock.
Leave a
Anybody else?
subligar there.
had a smooth run. I haven't had any bugs. No glitches.
Yeah.
Nope, I'm good.
You already know who I'm gonna ask next. I saw you reach for your mute button.
At least I'm not talking with my mute on. I ain't got shit. We ain't found shit.
I used that meme just the other day in Dynamis.
So, I want to thank Druin for coming on for this lore episode. I appreciate it.
Thank you for
It was
having
really
me.
interesting.
This was super fun.
And well, hopefully we can have you on in the future to explain some more lore.
Oh, I got so much.
He's already got notes
I've
made.
honestly, you should see. I do. We'll talk
But,
creation in a minute. That's super fun.
He's got a whole doc just for that. But I want to thank everybody for watching. I want to remind everyone that you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. And if you want to interact with us, you can go to our Discord. It'll be linked below. And join us and talk with us. Recommend any kind of ideas you guys might have, anything you want to hear about. And until next time, everybody have a good one.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Good lanky, ankle biting shits.